Did I leave the stove on?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children and all the ages, welcome to the Opie-Verse podcast, whatever, episode 28, rolling on to 30. How the devil are we, everyone? Good evening to you, wherever you are in the world. Hey, James. Hey, Debrick. I waited for you, mate. I waited for you to get here. Hey, Will. Hello. There's a lot of people in tonight. We love it. Obviously got a lot of pro wrestling fans who also don't get a chance to think about it either, or get a chance to talk about it. But welcome one and all to the Opie-Verse podcast. How are we? I'll tell you why I am. I've just been hit with the Rona after 2 years of avoiding it. It finally caught up with me, but never mind. I just feel like I've got a bit of a bad cold. So hopefully it stays that way, but it is day one. I've done a PCR test and all that. But look, we're not here to talk about that. We spent 2 years talking about all that shit. So let's not focus on that too much. I didn't go. I was only live on TikTok for like 20 minutes. I didn't manage to get on because I needed to rejuvenate myself. But hey, Harvey, I'm feeling all right. I feel like tomorrow morning is going to be the pivotal point. That will tell me one way or another. But listen, we're not here to talk about that. So I am going to introduce my guest now. You may know her, you may not know her. Predominantly, she is a TikToker right now. She has an Instagram and a growing Instagram presence as well. I don't know if she has anything else. We'll find out tonight. But she is a big pro wrestling fan, which for me, I'm a pro wrestling fan, lifelong, but I never get to talk about it because I'm scared of talking about it on the algorithm because TikTok doesn't like you talking about things that you don't usually talk about. So we'll come to the Opie-Verse and we talk about it right here. She is also a Star Wars fan, and she doesn't really talk about Star Wars either. So we get an opportunity to kind of cross swords on that one, which is fine, but like it just sounds a bit weird. So we'll not say that. But yeah, never mind. But yes, let's on that note, let's bring out. I introduce to you Lana, aka LanaBananaa. Good evening.
Hello.
Sorry about that. That's
okay. I'm laughing about the sword.
I'm gonna blame that on the Rona. It's that. First of all, welcome to the Opie-Verse. Secondly, congratulations on 10K on TikTok this week.
Thank you. You're very kind.
How the devil are you? And how's your week been?
Week has been chaotic. Work is chaotic recently. But no, it's good. It's always good. And I love getting to chat to everyone. This is why I love TikTok, because after connecting me with so many other people that I didn't know existed that have the same passion and stuff for different things that I do. I just thought I was the weird one.
What I find is now, pro wrestling, Lego, they're all guilty pleasures. Yes. So it's in pre-pandemic, people were a bit I'm not going to I'm careful about who I talk to it about. But the pandemic has kind of allowed us to just become show off who we are. And proudly. And then all of a sudden, not just random people on the internet, I found it's amazing the people that are already in my network who are then well, I like that too. Or I've thought about doing that, or I've thought about that. How is it and all that? So, which is good. Have you found that? Have you had any secret friends who are well, not secret friends, but friends who are secret fans, and then all of a sudden they're oh yeah.
No, not really. You see, I have a very small group of friends, and I'm the weird one. I'm the nerdy one. I was a scene kid growing up like that. That was me, and I think that will stay like that. But I'm very lucky that I have a boyfriend who loves everything I love, and that's why we get on so well. So that's nice to have that with him. But no, not really. No, I think Star Wars, a few people have come out of the cracks and people have said, yeah, I'm actually a big Star Wars fan, which has been nice.
Yeah.
But not really, no.
So speaking of your boyfriend and speaking of Star Wars, very poor transition here, but you recently went to Florida with your boyfriend to see AEW, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. Whilst you were there, you went to Disney, and
Yes.
we were talking earlier on, and you were talking about you showing me the pictures of the Lego Star
Lego.
Wars. I'd mentioned about Chewie and the thick Chewie.
Yes.
That is synonymous in the Lego Star Wars community, and there he is. So, like,
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even notice that until you said it.
sure you didn't.
It didn't even. I think I was just so like taken aback with how big these things were. Like
Yeah, I mean it's big.
they're
I mean that is big.
huge. Like my boyfriend is 6'2", and they were taller than him, way bigger than him. Like I'm only 5'2", so they were absolutely huge, and they have these big gates around them that you can't get in, you can't touch them, like none of that kind of stuff. But they had, yes, Chewie, a stormtrooper. I think Ray. They had Ray as well. Like, but they were so well done. It was scary.
I
Yeah,
mean those Lego guys know what they're doing. But yeah,
yeah.
I'll
It was so impressive.
I'll send you the most weirdest DM you'll ever receive of a Lego Chewie's butt after this. So you have it to call that on. But yeah, Chewie has got back, Harvey. He has
Yeah,
indeed.
and
But yeah.
when we were in the like, we only did Disneyland for one day, and we specifically went just to see like the Star Wars park. We queued for an hour and a half for the Millennium Falcon. Was it worth it? Absolutely, it was worth every single second. But when we were walking back, Ray and Chewie, like the characters, they were obviously doing some sort of like performance. They were like walking through the park. I nearly died. Like it was just so cool to like see them in real life. Like it was really really cool. So it was. It's like walking into a Star Wars scene. It's that
Yeah.
good. It's insane. Absolutely
I
insane.
Yeah, it always looks good, and I've never been, and I would love to go.
Mm.
But what I love more so is how they don't break character, especially with like
Yes.
kids and stuff. Like it's almost
Yeah.
like you just like it's like yeah, this is what we do, and like
Yeah.
if you confront them, they like confront you back and all that, but in a
Yeah.
comedic way.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm all for that.
They
My
did
wife,
that
who
with
is
they did that with this. They had stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers, there was like a little kid, and he was dressed up. I assume it was Luke Skywalker he was dressed up as, but they were having none of it. And like it was just so cool to see, and like the little kid was loving every second of it. It was amazing. Yeah, no, definitely, it's such a fab place. If we had more time, we probably would have done more of the Star Wars parts. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's fab, absolutely fab.
Well, I mean, I'm off to America. I've been to America twice, and I'm off to America again this year. If you're in America and you didn't know, yes, I'm coming to America in June, Vegas,
Fab.
baby. So
Oh, I'm
yeah,
so jealous.
it's me second. It'll be the second time we've been. So the first time we went on our honeymoon in 2019,
Amazing.
and we were always like, we'd love to go back because we did New York, San Fran, LA, then Vegas.
Fab.
But we because it was spread out over 3 weeks, you kind of then get to the point where you run
It's a
out of
lot.
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you couldn't go like full Vegas. We had an amazing time, and we were
Yeah.
blessed by like friends and family with gifts. And we had an amazing time. But we are going for like 6 nights,
Oh my
and
God,
it's like
amazing.
all in, and we're going to
That
Cosmo.
would be
Like, I know,
phenomenal.
can't
And there's
wait.
so much to do in Vegas. Like there's so much to do. Like, oh, you're gonna have a blast. Absolute
Can't
blast.
wait. Can't wait. So
That would
yeah, it's
I think, am I wrong? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's a wrestling event in Vegas. I think it's Money in the Bank. I don't know if it's Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, but there is an event in Vegas, and I think it's in June. And I could be wrong. Let me just,
I'm
I'm
gonna
going
have
to
to have a
Google it
look
really
now.
quickly.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to have a look now. So I don't think the problem is it'll be on a Sunday night, or is it? They've changed the Saturday nights now, haven't they?
Yeah. Money in the Bank.
Now Saturday night is my last night there. So
Oh, fuck.
the problem
Okay,
is,
sorry. It's the 2nd of July in
oh,
Vegas. Will you
which
still be
one?
there?
Nah. I'm the start of the month. Never mind. It's probably for the
Oh
best. My marriage is not worth it. Because the first time I went to America, I went to New York, and
no. Yeah.
we flew out on Boxing Day, and it
Oh
was
my
the
God.
unreal, absolutely unreal. And we flew back New Year's Day. Um,
Amazing.
but our hotel was right outside of Madison Square Garden, and as a kind of childhood wrestling fan, my two kind of like tick off goals would be to go to Madison Square Garden and
Yeah.
see a wrestling event because it's the
Yeah.
home of like WWE, and
Oh,
then to go to Mania. Like, absolutely want to go to
yeah.
Mania, but like that's kind of not on the cards right now. But
I did do Mania.
have you? Oh,
Yes. I did
well,
Mania in New Orleans, so in 2018,
oh,
and
what a place! Like, if you're going to do it, like that's the place to do it.
I don't think I was sober for an hour that entire trip. It was absolutely insane.
I
Insane.
expect nothing less.
Yeah, it was insane. I'd say New York at like Christmas time is fabulous. Like I've been
It
to New
is.
York, but not at Christmas. I'm dying to go at Christmas time.
So I did it in August as well, like 3 years ago, as part of my kind of road trip.
Yeah.
But it was yeah, it was much better. Like okay, so I absolutely love the cold. So like Christmas in New York, it for me. I bought this is how like involved I get in things, right? I bought a white parka jacket and I
Yes.
envisaged like me walking around New York being like a Stay Another Day video. We get there, so we got there on the 26th, the 27th, 28th, and the 29th was a heat wave of
Stop.
December. It was like 20 degrees. But me being as stubborn as I am, was like, I am still going to wear it, walking around the streets of New York in a white parka jacket. Whilst my wife is like, "Will you seriously take that off?" But yeah, on the Boxing Day thing, they were doing like the New York, the Madison Square Garden event. You know, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's canon to the story, but it's to like, so if any titles change hands, they continue on to the TV shows, but
Yeah.
it's basically for the Madison Square Garden
Yeah.
fans. So that was on, but we didn't know what time we were going to land. We didn't know what time we
Yeah.
get to the hotel, and we literally got there about 30 minutes before it was due to start. And I jumped on StubHub and got like 2 tickets, like for I think they were like $9 each. So like
Stop.
so my wife wouldn't let me buy them beforehand because she was like, "What if we don't make it?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, but if we get there with time, can we do it?" She's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah." Probably hoping wasn't going to happen. We got there and went, and it was so that was
That's savage.
a big tick
Oh,
for me.
that's amazing. Yeah, no, I'd love to go. I think I just love to go see Madison Square Garden just to see Madison Square Garden. Like it would
Yeah.
be absolutely iconic.
And there's always stuff on. So if you go for
Always.
like a couple of nights, there's always
Always.
something on.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Knicks is it the Knicks do play there, but I don't think the Knicks gets like sold out. Not like the Lakers if you ever go to LA.
See now,
So
I don't know nothing about that kind of stuff. If it has a ball, I don't know it.
there,
Don't have a clue. No
okay.
idea. I don't do anything like that.
Well, I mean, you just go in, watch the basketball. The good thing is with American sports, and I'm not a big fan of American sports.
Mm.
Basketball is probably my favorite, but like I say that loosely.
Yeah.
But the good thing is they're great at like halftime entertainment. Like
Yeah.
things are like always happening, but you're there for like 3 or 4 hours,
You
which
see, that's
for
the
me.
problem. I think things
Mhm.
just take so long. And like we did go to a football game, and oh my God, I was like, I'm never going to one of these things ever again. Like they're so drawn out. And I think I'm used
Yeah.
to rugby because we're here. It's so much more fast paced and it's
Mhm.
easier to watch versus American football. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, to their own.
Well, exactly. But I think that's why people like it. I think especially Brits see these things as more of like an event, especially like
Yes.
the Super Bowl. But I think the
Yeah,
Super Bowl has kind of sucked people in to become more kind of avid fans and
yeah,
that. But yeah, not for me.
definitely.
So that Mania 2018,
Mm.
I'm trying to think who was like the main event. What were the matches there?
Oh, so that was John Cena and the Undertaker. When
Okay.
John Cena was like calling out the Undertaker,
Yeah.
and he wasn't sure if he's going to turn up or not.
Is that when
Um,
John Cena was sat ringside the whole night? And
yep,
then, yeah,
we
and he
were
was like
like,
sat there as a fan.
yeah, we were like on the stalls behind him, so like we could see him, but we had no way of getting like anywhere close to him.
Yeah.
He was there for like from the start of the show until he ran down that ramp. He was like there.
Right.
Who else was there? Oh, that was Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle, and Stephanie and Triple H.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That was absolutely insane as well. That was such a good match.
Mhm.
There was like a Divas Royal Rumble thingy. I can't even remember. Bryan Danielson was there. He came. It was like one of his like return matches.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't remember who else. Do you know once like so much happened?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then yeah,
Yeah,
it's almost so long.
I
You
think it
just
was just like the whole experience and the whole event of being there. Like never in a million years did I ever think I'd be at WrestleMania ever.
was it easy
That
enough
kind
to
of
get
way.
tickets?
Hmm?
Was it easy enough to get tickets for it?
I had no part in that.
Right. Okay.
It was all him. He organized everything. I'm pretty sure he got like a package deal. So like
Yeah.
I think they go by like gold, silver, bronze, like
Mhm.
VIP gold, all these different like levels of tickets. And we got a ticket where we went to the Hall of Fame, we went to NXT Takeover, and then Mania, and then Raw after Mania.
Nice.
And so we did the 4 events, and then we did they had access at the time, so we were able to like go and meet like loads of people and stuff, which was really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
It was an entire week of just wrestling madness. That was what it was. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And then of course we were in New Orleans, and we every time we were out in the nighttime, you'd bump into wrestlers. Like you'd
Mhm.
bump into so many of them. And I remember there was one night we were walking down the streets in New Orleans, and Matt Hardy was like in a balcony, just having an absolute the time of his life.
So was that the one where the Hardy Boys made the return?
No, it wasn't that one.
Ah,
No,
was that the year
I
before then?
no, I think was it the year before? Or was it 2 years before? Was it 16 or 17?
Oh, what? That doesn't feel like that long
No,
ago.
it was a while before 2018. But I will never forget their return. Their
Yeah.
return was probably one of the best returns I have ever seen, because no one was expecting it. Like that wasn't
No.
anywhere. There was no rumors. There was no nothing. And I think that's what I miss
Yeah.
sometimes about wrestling,
Yeah.
like the whole Cody Rhodes thing. Like if he's gonna come back, can you just let me enjoy the surprise of him coming back,
Yeah.
please?
100% agree. It's
Like
that pop is one of the
yeah,
best things about wrestling, and it's just
yeah, yeah,
the best one most recently, and potentially for me the greatest would be Edge, like at the Rumble,
yeah.
because it was like he might. And the great thing about bringing him in at the Rumble is that you don't know that that's him.
Yes.
So like when it just popped, I was like,
Yeah, that was a
oh,
pretty big one. As I remember AJ Styles coming back at a
yeah,
Rumble as well. That was phenomenal. Pun intended,
pun
phenomenal.
intended. So was that when he was, because he debuted in the Rumble, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
then it was just came up like because his music played, and obviously it was new music. Then it just came up like
yeah,
and then phenomenal, and everybody just
yeah. I
like
remember that. That was so good. There's just like certain moments like that in wrestling that I don't think people will forget, you know?
yeah,
Like when you're invested so much in a wrestler, like I don't think you'll forget their big moments or the big times they like had an impact on you at all.
agreed. So who
You know?
did you say you were? Cena was the one who had the impact on you and pulled you in. Did you say you were a Cena girl?
See, no, it was actually Lita. It was Lita back in the day.
Okay,
Um, like originally when I first started like watching wrestling, um, I used to like be with my cousins all the time, and they were big wrestling fans. They were a lot older than me, and I was always Lita, and they were the Hardy Boys.
right,
So they'd make me like
controversial.
jump off the top bunk and like all this like crazy shit. So it was definitely Lita. And then I remember the first wrestling match I can remember watching was the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys at a TLC. I think it was Mania 17 or 16. And I remember just watching these people like literally flying, doing tumbles in the air and
Yeah,
being like, this is the best thing I have ever seen. So yeah,
100%.
yeah,
It's like
so good.
they like that era, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys, like
Yeah.
that. Just TLC 1 and 2, just absolutely nailed it. And
Amazing. What about you? What
tuning.
was your what do you remember about wrestling? Like what made you love?
Uh so I can't remember a time when I didn't watch wrestling. So when I was a kid, my granddad would pick me up from school, and then he would pick my older cousin up. And my older cousin like lived with my granddad, so he would pick us both up, would go home, and my granddad was like the absolute best. And like he would make our tea, and then we'd sit and watch wrestling, like because it was more my cousin would like kind of get
Yeah.
us into it.
That's,
So we'd sit and watch it because he was like you think like in the late 80s, more the early 90s,
yeah.
like nobody had Sky. Well, my
Nope.
granddad like weirdly had Sky, so like my uncle would come over and try and put like the cricket on, and my granddad would like chase him out the house and be like, "No, the bands are watching the wrestling and all that." So it was brilliant. So I
That's
always remember like
adorable.
I just always remember like growing up with it, and
Yeah.
then I remember my granddad took me and my cousin to Newcastle Arena to watch like a live event.
Stop.
Honestly, so my favorite wrestler when I was a kid was Bret Hart. Just like loved Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, but when he came out, he always had like those glasses, like the pink
Yeah.
glasses. He'd get in the ring, then he'd get back out and give them to someone. And he gave them to my cousin, and I just burst out crying.
Oh
So
my
like I
God.
had like 6-year-old. So
That's so cute.
but yeah, I see a 6. I was probably about 21
That's
or something.
adorable.
But then yeah, just it stuck with me. Like watched
Yeah.
it. I probably growing up more through the Attitude Era, I fell out of love with it in the Attitude Era because it was just like you were watching and you're like, what on earth is going on? Like through the Monday Night Wars, a lot of people loved that.
Yeah.
But the reason I always loved Bret Hart and the Hart Foundation was because they were very technical.
Yes.
And that's what's kind of good now is they're bringing a lot of that stuff back.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like I can't remember it. I mean, they're at the minute. I'm very casual in my viewing. Like I follow it more. I've got BT Sport, so I can watch,
Yeah.
and I've got it specifically for that. But I struggle to kind of, especially Raw, to put Raw on. But
Yeah.
it's easier just to watch it through Instagram posts. Or
it is. I found WWE a lot more harder. That makes absolutely zero English sense. I found WWE more difficult to watch recently. And I do think it has a lot to do with all my favorite wrestlers have now left or have been released, and they're gone to AEW. And it's not the fact that they're specifically in AEW, because I can only imagine AEW, WWE bickering fans. If they all went to Impact, I'd probably be watching them in Impact. It's not the brand I'm following. I'm following the wrestlers because I like the wrestlers. Like I probably stick with WWE because it's WrestleMania season, so I'm obviously going to watch WrestleMania. And I'm such a Finn Balor fan, so I kind of keep up with it for that.
That must be painful to just because like his shot is pretty much done now, right? Like,
yeah, it's really hard to watch because he is amazing and you're just burying him.
Yeah, I mean the whole giving him the US title is not about him. That's about promoting Damian Priest.
Yeah.
So
100%. Like I'm happy he has it. Of course I'm happy he has a title, but like I can see the storyline. I can see like when he lost as Demon Finn Balor to Roman Reigns, that was when I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. There's no need to kill the demon character.
Yeah.
There's no need. Like
no.
Come on.
So is that why you started hating Roman Reigns, or does that go long before?
Oh, like I think with Roman, if it comes to WrestleMania and he gives me an amazing match with Brock Lesnar, if those two just absolutely kill each other, there's no interference from the Usos or Paul Heyman or anything else. If they just put on a really good match, then I'll probably be like, yeah, okay, fair enough. But I have not liked one of Roman Reigns' matches in over a year. Like I just haven't enjoyed them. And like people will say to me a lot, well, he's a heel, you're supposed to hate him. There's plenty of people heels that I'm supposed to hate, but I freaking love. So that argument to me is completely invalid. Like if you're a heel, you're doing a good job in my eyes. If I can still like you and I still want to see you, like when I see Roman Reigns, I just want to flick past or like turn it off. Like I just have no interest in him. He just bothers me.
No, I get it. I think there are heels that you hate because you're meant to hate them and they deliver that heel persona really well.
Yes.
And then there are others where you're a bit like, what are you actually doing here? Like, what are you trying to, like, I've always felt that about Baron Corbin. It's just like this whole Happy Corbin thing. And you're like, and
Yeah.
it gets so much airtime, and that's one of the reasons I can't be bothered to watch this.
Yeah, I don't.
Um,
He hasn't. It's him, Madcap, and Drew at Mania, and I just feel like we've had that
yeah,
for we've had that so many times now, and I just again I'm kind of over it. I'm not, not that I'm underwhelmed by the Mania card. Like I still think it'll be good, and the whole experience of WrestleMania is good. But I'm not like overly excited about anything
I
really.
think for me, what kills it for me is that it's over 2 nights.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought that
it's a
would have been
nightmare,
done
especially
well.
because we're here.
Yeah. But this
Like,
is the thing, isn't it? Like with
yeah,
American stuff, like, they are a world brand, but everything is built to cater to the American audience.
yeah,
Now, understandable when that is their core audience, but when they're growing massively in Saudi Arabia, they're massive in Europe,
yeah.
even around the world, they're just like, no, like,
Yeah,
and
they
in
don't
some
care.
ways, yeah, and they're obviously trying to pacify their kind of core audience, which I do understand. But it's difficult then to grow your audience base, which has kind of become evident by the way that, with the WWE network and like how
Yeah,
they kind of come up with ideas and then kill the ideas. It's
yeah.
just,
It is.
yeah,
It's annoying. Like WrestleMania on its own, like an 8 hour show is hard enough to watch, but you want me to do that for 2 nights? Like, so I
yeah,
think for us, it's probably going to finish around like 5 a.m. Monday morning.
mhm,
I'm supposed to be in work for 6.
yeah, no,
So like
no fun.
it's just it's frustrating. It is really, really frustrating. And as I said, with everything that's happened with WWE in the last kind of year, so it's just pushed me more towards
AEW.
AEW and just other indies and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm hoping WrestleMania be good. I am. I'm really hoping it'll be good. And I believe when Smoke and Mirrors plays and Cody Rhodes comes down that ramp, that's when I'll believe it, because I don't know. There's just I don't know if it is all smoke and mirrors.
Well, ahoy! Are you coming in hard with the puns tonight?
Oh
Um, but so yeah, you went to AEW Revolution. How was that on its own? And then kind of how did it compare? Now, obviously, you went to probably one of the last great manias in like
yeah,
the setting and all that. Whether we'll get back to that, I hope so, but who knows?
yeah.
But how does it kind of compare back then to to a mania?
To Mania. I think this year it was just this was our first trip away from COVID in the last 2 years. So I think just the whole excitement was amazing anyway. It
Mhm.
was just so exciting to be just going away to go do something. And then the fact it was a wrestling show, it was even better. So we did the Rampage show on the Friday night, which was so cool to see.
Yeah,
It was deadly. It was weird to like see it in person, because on TV it looks so much bigger, but it's a lot smaller when you're actually sitting there,
yeah,
and like you can see what's going on and see the ring and stuff. And then on the Saturday we did the Fan Fest. So I suppose it's like AEW's version of Access. Um, for that, like I think WWE's setup is way better.
yeah.
Um, AEW's Fan Fest was kind of chaotic.
Mhm.
Like it was really badly organized, from my opinion. Like some people will say it was absolutely amazing, but for me, it was just really badly organized. Like they had like two separate sections. So the people that you like paid to meet, so all the big people that had the titles or whatever, and then the free people. But the free people had like these gorgeous like AEW backdrops, and it
Right.
looked really nice. And then so we paid for Britt Baker. The girl who took my photo, I have my eyes closed. And I'm like, could you not have taken like a nice photo? Like like little things like that. And
Mhm.
like maybe it's just because I'm a girl, but like the lighting was terrible, like the whole like setup was terrible. That's just my opinion. And then we were in queues for like what felt like hours,
Yeah.
which really bothered me. Whereas I felt at the time at Access, I felt WWE's just whole setup was way better. And this actually really bothered me, and it bothered my boyfriend a lot as well, to the point he said something. When I went to Access, they had like a specific line for people with disabilities, or if you were in a wheelchair, or if you were on crutches. So like a fast pass easy
Yeah.
line, like a quick line. And they didn't have anything like that for anyone at the fan fest. And there was this poor lady, and she was like clearly like couldn't walk very well. She was on like a crutch, and she just asked could she just go in really quickly, and the security man was like, no. And my boyfriend was just like, no, it's grand, like she can just go in there, like what are you talking about? Like, so that really bothered us. So that was the fan fest. And then the day after was actually Revolution. And I
Yeah.
don't know who it came across on TV. I still have to go back and like watch Revolution on TV. But it was probably one of the best pay-per-views I have ever seen live. It was so good. Like the atmosphere was amazing. All the matches are amazing. Like I did see some people give out about how long it was. And I was like, this is the first event I've been to. You can stay here all night long. I don't care. But yeah, no, it was really good. It was really fun. It was fun to watch and to see. Like for me, it was weird to see all the people I saw in WWE at the time now in AEW, and
Yeah.
like having different characters as well. Like so, the last time I saw John Moxley, he was Dean Ambrose and stuff like that. So no, it was deadly. It was a lot of fun. I definitely go back. I don't know if you can compare it to Mania. Like,
Yeah, I mean it's on a different scale, isn't it?
yeah, it's a different
Yeah.
thing altogether, like completely different. And I do think they're very separate crowds and separate fans. It's definitely a different fan base. Like WWE is definitely catered more towards kids. AEW not like there was hardly any kids at all, and
Yeah.
like that is weird. Like usually when I go to wrestling shows, it's a lot of kids. But no, there was hardly any kids. But no, like yeah, it was so much fun. It was. The whole thing was fab.
Yeah, I mean I think WWE will make no bones about the fact that they are family friendly.
Yeah,
You know, they kind of skirt the line. It's a big deal when somebody now can see a shit and stuff like that.
yeah,
And it's like, um,
yeah,
it's interesting that, but I think what I would say is you've got so when you compare it, what you have is you probably have a far greater kind of locker room in AEW
yeah,
because it's more broadly as well. Whereas just because of the politics within WWE, where they kind of promote people, but then if they get too big, they kind of siphon them down and all that.
yeah,
And then you've got Tony Khan at the top, and then you've got Vince over here. But what WWE have, just because of the time they've had on the ball over the last 20 years since they buried WCW
yeah,
through experience, they just have that great middle team. So as bad as the storylines might be and all of that, the production quality is awesome.
yeah.
They can
Oh,
have a team who can run the access stuff.
it's
AEW probably don't have that yet, or they don't have the right people in it. So
no,
as long as they're kind of paying attention to it, great. But yeah, I
yeah,
think what is clearly evident is that for me, what always comes across is the production value. Now,
yeah,
some people, again, because you say it's a different audience, it's very different kind of fan base. Some people actually might prefer that because it is a bit more like rough and ready. It's almost like watching the
yeah,
indies and all that. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's come a long way, is certainly from them first kind of couple of weeks and months.
yeah.
But the way that WWE produces its shows and just
That's
everything,
it.
it just visually looks great.
And I think that's it. I think that like WWE makes you want to watch it because it looks so fresh and clean all the
Mhm.
time. Whereas AEW is just not. It's not at that level yet. It's just not there. But I still watch it. And as for me, I think it's for me personally. I just like it's the wrestlers I'm following
Yeah.
more so than like storylines. I'm not the biggest fan of storylines. They don't bother me too
Mhm.
much if they don't really make sense. Like I get it. I'm much more like give me a good match. Like
Yeah.
that's
But
what I
I
want to see
think
in a
when
match.
you put the two together, though, it's
Yeah,
spectacular. That's where
yeah,
it nails. But you don't always need it, especially I think with two like face wrestlers. And they're good wrestlers because they
yeah,
can put on a hell of a match,
yeah,
and it's just about that mutual respect. But
yeah,
a good storyline is great, but it feels harder and harder to kind of land these. I think it's because one, as you say, there are so many spoilers now. So like you get an idea of where things are heading before they even really get
yeah,
going. and a lot of stuff's been done, and
Yeah.
especially it's a bit like I don't know. Do you ever watch South Park?
Yes.
So there's a really old episode where Butters and his mate are trying to like become evil, and they're trying to like do a load of stuff, and they come up with a load of plans. And while Butters comes up with a load of plans, and every time he comes up with a plan, it's been done on The Simpsons. And then his kind of like sidekick says, "Yeah, The Simpsons did it. The Simpsons did it," and that's kind. I think that might even be so. And it's almost like that, right? So anytime AEW do anything, it's so difficult to kind of compete with a
Yeah.
business that's been running for 30 odd years, if not
Yeah.
even longer. But then, like, without somebody kind of going, "Oh, WWE's done that," so it's
Yeah.
it's.
I think as well, though, people just, especially in the internet wrestling community, just stop complaining and enjoy the fact that you have so much more wrestling to watch.
Mhm.
Like, I think just people love to complain, and they
Have
love
you
to
seen the
put
Star
out.
Wars community? Have
You
you
know,
seen the
I
Lego
haven't.
community?
I haven't been exposed much to the Star Wars community, and to be honest, I'm kind of scared to.
Yeah, yeah, it's a funny one. Just there are people
Yeah.
who make a name because it pays to be controversial, right? It pays like people want to hear that.
Yeah.
So there are people who know it, and then there are people who are influenced to be like that. That's clear. They don't realize that their opinions are essentially what they're being told to think, rather
Yeah.
than what they actually think, rather than having an actual objective view. But yeah, you see that in the I think as well though, with to be a little bit fair to some people, WWE is like it's like what we talked about earlier. It's so difficult to just be like 3 hours, right? Let's go.
Yeah.
Like you go in drained
Yeah.
already. So
Yeah.
there is that element of it as well.
And
But
as you said, like, it's just so much easier to watch it all on Instagram or just see someone's story or whatever, rather than sitting down for 3 hours, like, to watch. And especially the day after, because I feel like I've just missed everything. So what's the point?
yeah,
You know, that kind of a way too. Yeah, I think the time difference really kills a lot of WWE stuff for me anyway.
yeah, 100%. If you can't avoid it,
No.
it kills it, because then you're like, oh well, I've kind of got what I need out of it. It's almost like you've
Yeah.
got the money shot, so it's like, well, like that'll
Yeah.
do for me. I know where it's going.
That's
So
it.
here's a question: what's your all-time favorite storyline then? Like what's the one where you're like, yeah, that one is it for me?
That's an interesting one. I loved Jeff Hardy and CM Punk's feud. That was, when was that? I can't even remember what that was, but that was like, it only lasted like a very short period of time. And I think Jeff originally got the title off Edge.
The old gold belt one. Is it
Yes.
that one? Yeah.
Yeah. And then it instilled this couple of month long feud with him and CM Punk. But I just remember the promos and like how they were both getting like so personal with each other.
Mhm.
And like CM Punk just blasting Jeff because of his like drug abuse or alcohol, whatever it was. And then I think Punk came out on top in the end. I think it was SummerSlam. I think he did come, like he bet Jeff.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, that was probably one of my best, my favorite storylines that I can remember. Jeff and Punk being like two of my faves, like forever. And then there was a lot in NXT that I liked more so
Mhm.
than WWE. I loved all the stuff with anything Finn Balor did, to be fair. I loved him and Samoa Joe. Like, I loved all that stuff. Like, there was a good bit I did like. There's not, I think it's too soon to say if I love anything in, like, any of the storylines are like my
Mhm.
favorite storylines in AEW. I think there probably will be, but in a couple of years. It needs a couple of years.
I was going to say, so with the CM Punk MGF thing is put to bed
Yeah.
now. Did that, from the outside looking in, that was definitely one that I followed through like social media rather than watching. Because
Yeah.
the thing is with AEW, I don't know if it's the same in Ireland, but it's on in like ITV, and I know we share a lot of the same channels, but like
Yeah.
it's on at like 11 o'clock at night, and I always forget to record it. So
Yeah.
I watch it more through social media, and it's always broadcast a lot like kind of later in the week. So again, you've kind of seen it before it actually makes our screen.
Yes.
But the MGF CM Punk story, did that live up for you? Did it live up to the because that they were like, essentially MJF is the new CM Punk, right? Like
Yeah,
he
he
is that.
MJF, like MJF to me is an example of a phenomenal heel. Like
Yeah,
he is the best heel that's going right now. Like I love to hate him, but I love seeing him. Like I don't want like he did a promo on was it Friday night or last Wednesday? I don't know if it was Wednesday or Friday. I get mixed up, and I was glued. Like I didn't want to like switch the channel. Like I could listen to him go on and on and on. That dog collar match was amazing, absolutely amazing. It was so cool. It was so good to see, and it was so like different to see. Like I've never
yeah,
seen a dog collar match before live, and even up until that point, I didn't really know exactly what they were. But yeah, no, it was fab, and it was so cool like to see CM Punk wrestle live. I
yeah.
never thought I'd ever see the day like that CM Punk. I'd see him wrestle live, not to mention just see him come back. So that was just that was the cherry on the cake.
And I think for me, what would be like, so absolutely. But I think if not my favorite, then certainly one of my favorite like theme tunes to hear that live, and that pop would be unreal.
Yeah,
That or like Metalingus from like Alter Bridge, like that. Those two are up there. There probably are a couple of others, the game and all that. But
yes.
yeah, CM Punk's
Oh,
just because it
and
takes you back to that summer and how
but that's
awesome it
it.
was.
Like, oh, so good. And the fact that CM Punk came out to his old ROH theme tune at AEW, that was like we didn't know what was going on. It was insane. Yeah, it was amazing.
And at that point, they hadn't announced that Tony Khan had bought Ring of Honor, had they?
I don't think no, they did. They announced
Okay,
it on the Rampage. So, or was it the Dynamite? He announced it at the Dynamite because I remember we just got into our hotel room. And the first thing we did was like, I wonder, do we have the like Dynamite channel? Because we weren't going to Dynamite that night. And we got in on the Wednesday, and that was when he announced it. He announced it at Dynamite, so the Wednesday before Revolution.
right.
Mm.
What?
What do
Because
you think of that, actually?
it's I'm not close enough to it, so I
Yeah,
obviously know what Ring of Honor is, and I've tended to watch back. So like when people have made their emergence through, um, and it's always been like, well, okay, I'll go and check them out on YouTube and see like
yeah,
some of the matches. And quite often when a wrestler makes their way through the ranks, the social media is flooded with like old footage of them. So I've seen a lot through that. Now what I know is it's like it's whether it still is and whether it still was just prior to this purchase, like it was almost like it was the golden indie. It was like the indie to like it was almost like the WWE of the
yeah,
indies and like the
yeah,
pinnacle in that. Now, will this purchase take away from that? That I think that is that the question because
yeah.
how do they connect together? Does it become another part of the show? Does it
Mm.
become a feeder? Like how interesting to see how that happens.
Yeah.
I think my concern is now I don't know how much the cons have behind them, but I don't know if they're just getting carried away with themselves a little bit. And
Who
you know,
knows?
they're essentially competing with NXT. Now I
Yeah,
would look at that and think, do they look at it and think, well, okay, the Ring of Honor can be our competitor to NXT, Dynamite and Rampage can compete with SmackDown and Raw.
yeah.
But it feels like they're a long way off that happening now.
Way
Like,
off.
even if it'll ever happen, because as you see, it's a very different audience. They
Yeah.
get so it's a strange one, and I suppose it'll play out in time. Um,
Yes.
and I suppose my biggest concern would be the overswelled roster that AEW can
Yeah.
have and have had at times, and people like get cut and move around. But I like that they let people be fluid and move around.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I
It's a
guess
weird
we'll see.
one. It is. I don't know. I think time will tell with that one. Just to see where it goes. And like as far as I know, like a lot of people, like wrestlers, like contracts expired kind of like in the days leading up to the big announcement. So I don't know. It's just I'm a bit wary of where that's gonna go. It'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see, I think.
it will. It will. And I think I think my only concern would be, well, not my only one, but it's that as he builds a bit of a mini empire, does he then start locking people down? And one of the great things about AEW is that they can go into like Impact, or they can go into New Japan and stuff, particularly New Japan, and they can play the indies. But as he gets the indies on lock, does he start to restrict that, especially in future contracts where he's
Yeah.
like, well, no, you can't do that because essentially they're a competitor to Ring of Honor and
Yeah.
and that. But I guess we'll see. We'll see. But
We will.
I think was I right, by the way, about the viewing time for you? Is it very similar to us, where it's kind of like a couple of days out and it's late at
Yeah.
night?
Yeah, that's very, very similar to us. But I tend to watch things kind of really early in the
Yeah. All
morning
right. I
before I
thought you
go
were going
to
to
work,
say
like when I'm
illegally.
getting ready. So I like watch it on. It's definitely on a legal website, so I probably shouldn't say it.
Okay.
That's where I watch it kind of, and then I'll just catch up with things during the day. But if I know there's something I really want to watch, I'll probably just watch it that evening, like when I get home from work. But I've seen it on like ITV and stuff at different times. But I think it just confuses me more now because I've seen kind of what's happened, and then it's like on. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of confused for a
Yeah.
little bit, but no, I think it's fairly similar here.
And then did they broadcast the pay-per-views elsewhere as well? Is it through that Fight TV, that Fight channel or something?
I have no idea. Again, I watch everything online.
Ah, um, fair enough. Yeah, I feel like they used to do that, but I think that's the annoying thing, that everything's all over the place. And
Yeah.
again, probably works really easy in America, but when you're going to really capture a global audience, you kind of need to make it easier for them.
Yes.
So I mean, we've
But
all
that's
got record
what
buttons, but
I do find for me, because the way I watch it, it's easier to watch AEW than it is Raw
right,
and SmackDown. For whatever
yeah.
reason, I just find it easier. So that's probably why I am watching it a little bit more. And the fact that there's like it's a 1 hour, 2 hour show versus a 3 hour show. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean that I remember when they went to 3 hours, and it probably worked for a little while, but
Mm,
it's dead now. But they'll never
yeah.
go back because they just make so much advertising money off it, and the networks probably want it. I wouldn't be surprised if Fox are pushing for SmackDown to do it, but I think SmackDown does so well because it's
Yes.
2 hours. Like if
2
I
hours.
go back, if you don't watch it live, you can watch it through the BT Sport app,
Okay.
like the next morning. And what it'll do is it chops all of the ad breaks out. So all you get is it rolls from like one scene into the next with no ad
Okay.
breaks. A 2 hour show on SmackDown tends to come down to about 1 hour 10. And then
That's unreal.
Raw comes down to like 1 hour 47. So like that's easier to watch, but it
Yeah.
just shows like how much is just filler.
Advertising. That would be so much better. So, and I think what as well for us here in Europe, we don't do ads and commercial breaks like
No,
the Americans do. I don't know
no.
how they watch any live TV. Like Jesus, there's like an ad break every 5 minutes. It's insane. Like,
Do you know the
I,
weirdest thing as well, though? They advertise like antibiotics and like
yeah,
prescription medicine.
the
Like, we're like,
weirdest things.
I just go to the doctor and the doctor tells me, yeah, take this. And you're like, well, well, then it's because they have to do all the disclaimers. It's like, this could cause and
Yeah,
death. And you're like, what?
exactly. It's the weirdest thing, or like insurance or life insurance or all these weird things. And yeah, no, it's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre
Yeah.
the way they like work their commercials and ad breaks and all.
But I suppose they're just so used to it
Yeah,
that, it is what it is. But
yeah,
yeah, then we've got like the BBC that has like no breaks,
no,
but
no
still,
breaks.
yeah, I think like I don't like ad breaks, but then having experienced that, I was like, okay, I can live with our ad breaks on that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but then you watch Raw live or SmackDown live, and then you get their ad breaks because they essentially it's tied in. So yeah, it's
It's
painful,
so annoying. I'll
painful.
probably watch SmackDown live this week because it'll be. Oh no, is SmackDown on this week? Yeah, it will be on
Yeah,
because it's the SmackDown before Mania.
yeah.
And I'll be dead on Monday because I'll be after staying up all night Saturday and all night Sunday.
Well, hopefully it's worth it. Are there
Yeah.
any matches you're particularly looking forward to?
not really. This is the thing.
Becky Bianca?
Okay.
I feel like it's a foregone conclusion that Bianca's going over.
Yeah. I disliked Becky's heel turn. I don't like what she did at SummerSlam last year. I understand they
Right.
need her to change or to be a heel. I get that. But I just didn't like it. I didn't think they needed to do that to Bianca. I thought they could have done it in a way better way. And I thought at the time, like Becky, like she was on a roll with the whole man thing, and like
Yeah.
they could have gotten another, like every, like for me, and I think it was fairly like across the board, like everyone wanted her to come back as the man
Hmm.
and be Becky Lynch again. And even if we got like 6 months of her being the man, I think that would have like sufficed everyone and like everyone would have been happy. And then if she was to turn, I think it would have been better. I do think Bianca's going to win, and I hope Bianca wins because I think she deserves it after everything that has happened. Like, and she's like she is a phenomenal
Oh
wrestler. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
oh my god, like it's like she is insane. So I do hope she wins. But again, it's predictable. Like I know what's going to happen. I'm not too pushed at it. It's probably surprising, but I'm really looking forward to Ronda and Charlotte because I
I was just going to
absolutely,
ask you what your thoughts
yeah,
on that. I think
I
what's
love
painful
Ronda.
is you put Ronda behind a mic and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, God
But
love her. God bless her. Like she tries. She absolutely tries, but she's just, yeah, she's shocking. But I think the way she is in the ring, for me, it makes up for that. Like that
yeah.
elimination chamber match she had when she was in the dojo gear, she came out with no makeup
Mhm.
and she was like her arm was like tied behind her back.
Yeah.
She can go, and I don't care what anyone says, she is absolutely amazing. And I think Charlotte Flair is, if not one of the best female wrestlers we have ever seen. Like
100%. I don't
she
think
is
there are
amazing.
many that have like stepped up to be at
Yeah,
that level. I think as much as it's going to get controversial now, but I think as much as like the diva era has gone,
yeah,
there aren't many female wrestlers who've kind of taken themselves out of that. Now,
yeah.
the Rhea Ripley is a great example of somebody who's done that, but then it
Hmm.
feels like like are they keeping her out the way on purpose? A bit like what they're doing with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah,
Are they kind of they have plans for him, but they can't to have her involved too much right now in the title scene would probably mean that she's losing. They don't want to do that, so they're keeping her over here, keeping her busy,
yeah,
keeping her relevant. But yeah, she's just it's I don't know, it's an interesting one, but
it is.
I do wonder when you look at like actual abilities, there are some that are really coming through and some that
Yes.
are really fledgling, and it's the future is bright. But I feel like there was just that little bit of a void whereby some were caught up in the kind of the old way, and they kind of haven't been able to progress
Yeah.
in the same way. But then you've got people like Sasha Banks, and
Yes.
then obviously with Bailey, like Bailey's injury was very untimely.
Yeah.
Sasha just kind of like comes and goes too much, so she
Yeah,
can't
and
really kind of cover.
I don't like her with Naomi. No, no, I'm not a fan. I do like. I feel like Sasha Banks is good enough on her own for a single, like to be a singles competitor.
Yeah,
You don't. I think this is the thing that bothers me at WWE. They just tend to throw together tag teams and just expect
yeah.
them to work, and then they get rid of tag teams like the Iconics. Like, uh, it
But
kind
it
of back.
happens. It happens in the male tag division as well. Like as
Yes,
soon as two male wrestlers get together, you know they're going to become tag champions, and
yeah,
then kind of beat the Usos, beat the New Day, and you're like, they're like the pinnacle. They
yeah,
beat anybody.
yeah.
But yeah, thoughts on this? AJ Lee, Page. What are
Yes.
your
Oh, I love both of them. I loved AJ Lee. I hope she comes back. I'm like praying she's gonna make like a return, like a surprise return. And I think she will. I think she will.
she's tipped to come
Absolutely.
back in the WWE though, isn't she? Rather
What?
than AEW. She's more tipped to come back in the WWE,
Yeah,
which is weird given the whole Punk
I
situation.
know. I think if she was to return and if she was to return to WWE, it would be absolutely chaotic. Could you imagine? It would be insane, but I think it would be so good. It would be amazing. And I loved AJ Lee. I absolutely loved her because she was one of the first to, for me, remembering it back, to not be your typical diva.
Yeah, Yeah, she was very alternative, but
Yeah,
in a not overly alternative way, like, not in a, like, a sexualized alternative way.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
which
y
I loved, and I'm sure millions of other little girls watching her absolutely loved as well. Like she came out in Converse for God's sake. She was
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, she was phenomenal. And Paige, yeah, Paige is amazing too. Like, oh, I love Paige.
Yeah,
Love
it's
Paige
such I
since she
mean,
started.
it's such a shame that, what happened and,
Yeah,
people hold out hope after Daniel Bryan and Edge, but from what I understand with Paige, like, one blow could, like, put her in a wheelchair for the rest of her
yeah,
life,
because
and
she was out and then she came back and
Mhm.
then she had that match with Sasha
Yeah,
and then she was out again and that was it. That was game over for her. And I really liked when she was general manager. I thought it was nice to have her there in like some capacity.
yeah.
And
And
I
then they
loved what
sacked her
she did.
on social media. No, they didn't. They sacked her on Raw, didn't they? To see when the authority came out and were like, "There's no more authority," and then she went on social media, was like, "I guess I'm out of a job then."
Yeah. Yeah, it was yeah. I loved I loved Paige. I loved it. I loved both of them. And if Paige will ever return, I think it would be amazing, but I don't think she'll ever return in like a wrestling role, unfortunately.
No, no, I can't see it. I can't
No.
see it. And the thing is for her, like, has she only just lost her WWE contract?
I
Like,
think so.
very recently, but she was
Yeah,
obviously like a brand ambassador, but
yeah.
she's got such a platform of her own now that she doesn't really need it,
Doesn't
does
need it,
she?
no.
And she'll
And I
build
think
upon that.
that that is something with WWE, um, that you're not allowed to have like a Twitch site or Twitch streaming or
I
like
think you can, but it has to go through them, doesn't it?
yeah,
And
I there's
they
something
basically
weird
take
with
the
it, I think.
money. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure, but I remember reading something about Adam Cole and like when he was in
Mhm.
NXT, he's a big Twitch streamer
Yeah.
and he wanted to continue that as he was moved up the main roster, but they were like, no, like you can't or you need to change it or something like that, and that was like a factor in why he wanted to leave.
Yeah. I think it's amazing how different the NXT to main roster contracts are.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, Pete Dunne,
I
Butch,
can't, I can't.
no,
No.
but
But
apparently that was his call because he did not want Pete Dunne to be copywritten.
yes, and a
So,
lot of them, and apparently that's what happened with Walter as well. He didn't want Walter to be
right.
copyright written or copyright
Well,
written.
is that not them then kind of almost saying, I'm not staying here,
Yeah,
rather than like, and that's the worry, and they're not kind of like, I totally get where they come from because those names are strong brands and they were
yes,
brands before they ever came in. But it's that thing, it's like, I'm not going to fully shoot my shot.
yeah,
Like, I'm not going to go all in because straight away people are going to be a bit like, who's this guy or what have
yeah,
you done that for? Like, and but then they blame the company and then they don't get behind them. And then all of a sudden they leave, they go to AEW, they go elsewhere,
yeah.
then everybody gets behind them. So,
I think it's just a
yeah,
mixture, and it's terrible that that has to happen. Like that has to be a thing. Like why can't Pete Dunne just be Pete Dunne? And if he wants to leave, let him leave. Like it shouldn't
yeah.
be like that big of a deal. Like I didn't know what I was looking at when he came out. I did actually watch that segment, and he was in like a Peaky Blinders cap,
Mhm.
and they called him Butch, and I was like, are we really doing this again? We had it with
Uh,
Walter, and we're doing it now with Pete Dunne. Like oh, I don't know. I just that kind of stuff really bothers me.
yeah, and this is the thing, if WWE are not creating their own talent, that's the
Yeah,
risk they're going to run, whereby they don't have like a John. Obviously John Cena was his name, but like you think of all of the people, like even like Roman Reigns, probably the
yeah,
best example, like they own that name from day dot, whereas when they're bringing indies in and then they're kind of getting into all this whole thing, it's a very different world. And then
yeah,
the guys are like, well, look, my name is my bread and butter. Like if I
yeah,
ever fail here or I leave, my name is what will get me hired, and I can't give you that. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see kind of where it goes. But yeah,
yeah,
Pete Dunne's Butch is
yeah.
like
I just can't.
brutal.
Oh,
So
because I love Pete Dunne. I do. I really, really like. I
yeah,
really. He is phenomenal. And I met Pete Dunne and Trent Seven and what's the other man's name? The fellow with the Mustache Mountain. I can't remember his name.
um,
Oh my god, what's his
oh,
name? It's like Tyler Bate.
Albert, yeah.
Yes, I met those three. They were at a wrestling event here in Ireland, and like they were just the funniest. They were so funny. They were amazing.
No, they are. I mean, they do seem good. And it's a different kind of model, isn't it? And the
Yes,
guys from over here, like the European guys, are very different, cut from a very different cloth.
very,
Especially
very.
when they've learned the kind of the ropes here.
Yeah,
If you could have an absolute kind of, is there a dream match for you? If we go off like who's currently active, are there two people you would absolutely love to see go at it?
Finn Balor, CM Punk. I'd love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'd absolutely love that. I'd like to see Kenny Omega and CM Punk go. I'd like to see Kenny Omega and John Moxley. One of my dream matches was John Moxley and Bryan Danielson, but we've seen that, so I'm happy with that. Actually, one thing I will say about the AEW women's division, I feel like it's like mediocre at
Right.
best right now, and it could be so much. It could be so good if Tony Khan put as much effort into it as he did, like the men's division. So I
This is
think
what I
like
mean, though. Are the
yeah,
people in the middle who are
yeah,
there who can really help shape and develop a good women's division? And men's wrestling is easy to do, right?
yeah,
Like it kind of writes itself. The guys
yeah,
can probably write it themselves,
yeah,
but almost with the women's, like if the women will see it as a great opportunity to like almost push themselves and let's do a bit of
yeah,
this, do it. But if there's nobody there who can kind of pull it all together, do they
yeah,
kind of trip over each other? Does it sink in the same way? So
yeah. But
um
that's what I mean. Like the only woman that like stands out to me in AEW is Britt Baker. I'd love to
yeah,
see her with Charlotte Flair or her with like Asuka or someone like that. Like that would be pretty cool to see. Like when you think about it, like Britt Baker she's been the only women's champion like since AEW kind of
she's still
debuted.
like so she had it from like day one.
Yeah, as far as I remember, she's
All
been
right.
the only one that like has
Because there is
held
a
it. And
secondary. Is there a secondary title for
for
the
women,
women?
no, there's only the one.
Ah, is there a
Yeah,
women's tag
so
title?
no, they don't have women's titles.
Ah, I thought I'd seen like a slimmer title that somebody else had had. Maybe I was wrong, or maybe it was an alternative company because they sometimes bring in like other belts, don't they? But I
Yeah,
thought I'd seen something, but yeah, but yeah, never mind. Sorry, my phone's going off.
it's okay.
Um, um,
What about you? Do you have dream matches?
uh, yeah,
It's a tough one.
it is a tough one. Um, because I suppose a lot have been kind of fulfilled
Yeah,
lately. I one that would be really good now, and it would probably be like an awesome match now would be, and I'm sure they must have competed early on, but would be Edge and CM Punk. But
yeah,
like now, and then
no,
like CM Punk and Seth Rollins now, that would be pretty cool. Like I love
yeah,
like I hated it at first, the whole kind of smug Seth Rollins character, but I
yeah,
don't know, it's kind of like it works, and I like that he mirrors Becky, but like not officially. They kind of
yes,
like they feed off each other, but
yeah,
like without being on screen together. I really like that.
yeah. I like that too.
Um, but I don't know. It's tough because like there probably is.
I
I
remember
mean,
I said someone asked me that question on TikTok, and I said I'd love to see the Young Bucks and the Hardys. This is when
mhm.
Jeff had no affiliation with WWE with AEW, and the comments, everyone was like, "Yeah, that already happened. That already happened." I was like, "Yeah, okay. Clearly, I didn't know that already happened. Like, calm down." Like,
Yeah, if you haven't realized already, you can never
yeah,
be wrong on TikTok,
no,
by the way.
never.
So it's yeah, it's never be wrong. It's one of the reasons I talk more about Lego than I do Star Wars. Like I'm more of a Star Wars fan than I am a Lego fan.
Yeah,
But like Star Wars, if you open up about the wrong thing, you just get like people dive off it. Now, what I would say, if you do it on purpose, it's great for engagement. Because
Yes.
like if people are going off in your comments, it boosts the video. So every now and then, just do one for like shits and giggles, and just just
Luke
let it go.
Skywalker wasn't even that good.
I mean, the good one for like Star Wars is you just mentioned Rey Skywalker, but then
Oh,
you just step back and you let people
let
argue it
them
out, like
all.
if you really want to. But that would be a bit devious, so I wouldn't promote like say to do that. But yeah, I mean, there's loads. I think as well. I look at it so because I do like. I do kind of like Roman's character, but I do get what you mean at the same time. Like, because I think what I loved is I always wanted the bloodline and I wanted them to be heel. I wanted him to be heel. And I loved when he first came back and went under Paul Heyman. It was like brilliant because I thought what he was going to be was like an actual like domineering heel rather
Yeah,
than like a cowardly heel. Now, to an
yeah,
extent, he is that, but he's kind of like, he's almost like the bad sign of like both. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
he's not like the great side of both. So it struggles a little bit in that respect. But yeah, I mean it is what it is. So but you know, I look at it and think like The Rock and Roman. Like it feels like it'd be great to have that, but it's
I
just a
think that
way of putting Roman over again
yeah,
over
it
like
will. I think
that's
that
all
will
it'll
happen.
be.
My what I think is going to happen. I do think Roman will win, and I think it'll set him up for Rock and him next year at Mania. Because isn't Mania in Hollywood next year, where like
Yes.
The
Yeah.
Rock is? So I can see that happening, and like it's just another year of bloody Roman Reigns.
Well, and I think it's pretty much given that he's gonna beat Brock, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. And I genuinely don't want to see that. I do want to see Brock with two because I'm loving
Yeah, the new Brock
Cowboy
is
Brock
awesome.
Lesnar. This is the best version of Brock Lesnar I think we have ever seen. Like,
See, I grew up like well, not grew up, but my favorite era was him and Angle as like best bros. Like when they
okay,
kept swapping the title and like and the clip has started doing the rounds again, like recently. But it's the one where they're having a match, but they're like hanging out in the locker room together, and they're about to have a match together, and Kurt makes them a bet about who can do the most push-ups. And so, like through the ad break, obviously, like Brock does like 100 odd push-ups,
yeah,
and then he's like, right, it's your turn. He's like, nah, you win. And like, and then they walk out and do the ring, and like, loved all that. The thing where like drinking the milk and where like Brock
yeah,
slaps him on the back, absolutely loved all that. And then I
yes,
loved like how they stepped Brock up, and he became like the beast. Always,
yeah,
always loved that. But I mean, yeah, he's brilliant, and I think it's so refreshing for him,
it is.
considering like, but you know, when he won Money in the Bank, and he was coming out with like the boom box and like bro, he absolutely has it there, and I love that he's not with Paul now, just to like freshen him up a bit
Yeah,
and get him on the
I
mic.
think that's it. Because when Paul initially went away from Brock, when he went, I think Paul going to Roman is like a conversation on its own. But I think just Paul stepping away from Brock, I was worried at the start because I was like, no, Brock Lesnar needs Paul Heyman. And then they let Brock kind of like loose. And
Yeah,
yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I just hope that they give us a good match. That's all I want.
yeah,
Just let the two of them go at it. Like let it be a good match. And I think I'll have a lot more tolerance for Mr. Reigns.
yeah. And I think the problem is if he doesn't beat Brock,
Yeah,
who's taking it off him now?
that's it. Like
Drew's probably lined up to go next, but Drew can't
probably.
lose that match because otherwise he ends up back in the situation where he's at now.
Yeah,
You're probably looking at a brand switch before he can really do anything. I'm
yeah,
also interested to see kind of what they do with the two titles. Do they unify them? Do they defend them both independently rather than anything?
yeah.
Do we get a
It'll be
bluff and do we
interesting
get a
to
no
see what kind of
contest
happens.
or
That's
like
it.
something like that whereby they both retain their title or a DQ
Mm,
finish or a count out. So it never merges. But yeah, we'll
no,
see. We'll
we'll
see.
see. I am
We'll see.
excited. I think it'll be good. No matter what, I think it's going to be a good weekend of wrestling.
It will. It yeah. I think it's just that thing of the it'd be great if you could take the time to watch it, a bit like what you were
Yeah,
saying. So like get up on the Sunday and watch the Saturday night. But the problem is obviously you've got Raw on Monday, and that Raw after Mania is like you can't miss it because
yeah,
that's where like shit goes down.
exactly.
So
And I
you
think,
then have to like watch everything, so you're not going into Raw without
yeah,
things being
I
spoiled.
think if Cody's going to debut, it'll be the Raw after Mania. So I do.
Yeah, it's yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Speaking of fantasy matches, though, we'll talk. I know you saw this, but I put out on Instagram earlier because you are also a Star Wars fan that you touched upon
Yes.
earlier. So if you were to make these honestly, these answers, I always get so many. But
Yeah.
if you were to make a wrestler match in the Star Wars universe, and it could be any match. So a lot of people have just come back with like this person versus this person. But I would want also in chat, feel free to kind of contribute with this. But it's not just about, as you will know, it's not just about who versus who, but it's the match as well. And like nobody's gone for like, I can't see any like triple threats, fatal four ways, elimination chambers, like all of that. But like the match is as important as the competitors itself. But
Yeah.
what would be your match of choice within the Star Wars universe?
Okay. I had a few going on in my head. I had like a tag team kind of storyline going on. I had like a women's thing going on, and then I had like a men's thing going on. So my
Just talk
tag
them out.
teams,
Just talk them out.
my
Luke
tag
versus
team
Obi in a
was
TLC.
we had Chewie and Chris,
Black
I can't think
Chrysanthemum,
of his
yeah.
name.
Yeah,
Yes, him.
that one's come up a few times and definitely would see that one.
Yep. So them is like you could like have a storyline of them like against each other and them like then coming together
Like
to be
Brothers of Destruction.
yeah,
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Versus the Gamoran people, those two green people.
I feel like the Gamorrean guards are like jobbers though.
No, I think you're underestimating them.
We've never really seen them like be victorious in any way.
I know, but I have faith. I think they it would be fun. They would be my tag teams, and then my women's division. We have I think Fennec has to be in there, and I think I'm only thinking of like all these because I've just finished, but like obviously the book of
Yeah.
Boba Fett, but I think Fennec has to be in there because she's absolutely amazing. I think you're one who's like the manager of that like pub, Garza.
Oh, Madame Garza. Yeah,
Yeah, she'd be like a manager in some capacity. Like she's like
she would.
yeah, she'd
Yeah,
be amazing.
yeah.
And then I think Ray. I think Ray and Fennec would be quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And then my men's, of course, you have to have Luke. And then I was like, I had a few ideas for Luke, but I wasn't really sure. Like, I think I'd love to see Luke against like Anakin, but Anakin, Phantom Menace Anakin.
What,
Like,
like child Anakin?
yeah.
What, like 9-year-old child Anakin against Luke? Or do you mean
No,
against?
he's like a teenager.
Or do you mean Attack of the Clones?
Oh, maybe that's what I
Oh
mean.
yeah, I was going to say that's a bit
Yeah.
unfair. Jedi Master versus 9-year-old child. We're getting great insight into you, Lana. No,
Yeah.
I could see that. I think
Mm.
Anakin would be because he's that rage would absolutely come out in that
It would
one.
be insane.
I'm just
And
having
of
a
course,
look.
like you could have. Then I was like, do they have lightsabers, or would that just turn into a lightsaber fight?
So I think not, unless it is a stipulation. So like
Fair.
TLC could be like tables, lightsabers, and chairs.
Oh my god, yes.
The
Yes,
poster
like
writes itself with that one. Or you could do like a lightsaber on a pole match.
yeah, that's actually very true. You could. Like the possibilities are endless.
100%. Like
And then
I
I was
would.
thinking of like Leia when she had the collar when she was with Jabba the Hutt.
Well,
I was
I'm
like,
glad
who
you
could
brought it up
you?
because I didn't.
What?
I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't want to bring that up. So like the whole slave Leia thing. Okay.
I could have her, like she could have a dog collar match with someone like Fennec, as I
Ula?
said, or
Ula? So Ula, who is the green Twi'lek at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, who
yes,
she replaces, who is also wearing a dog collar. So
yeah,
they could have like imagine they were both like, right, okay, I really need to be careful here. But they could be like both Jabba's slaves. He only has room for one. they basically they have to get each other or the other person into the drop hole to feed
Yep.
the other to the rancor. I
Yep.
could see that
Fight for survival. Yep. Amazing.
100%.
See, it's writing itself.
Exactly. Like we need this. These are like the best Star Wars what ifs we've ever had. Um, yeah, there's I'm surprised that somebody did say Slave Leia somewhere. I'm sure they did. There's one you've missed out actually. So I agree with your thinking,
Okay.
but the droids, because obviously the droids are in their own world.
Yeah.
So somebody has naturally said C3PO versus R2D2.
No, we can't
Uh,
have that.
But what would be a good tag match? Now, I don't know how deep you've gone into Star Wars universe and lore and media and all that, but there is in the comic books, there is a girl called Dr. Aphra, who's basically like a Star Wars Indiana Jones.
Okay.
And she's a brilliant character. There's a lot of call for her to come into live action. And she at a point, she has two droids with her, and they're called like BT and 000, and they're basically a protocol droid and an R. They look like an R2 unit, but the protocol droid has like different like poisons in his fingers, like they're lethal. Like he has like this ancient assassin cordon inside of him, and they basically get off on killing people. Like they have like they so a great tag match would be BT and 000 versus R2 and 3PO.
Yeah, actually, okay, that would be
That would
kind of
work.
because I did think of C3PO and R2D2, but I couldn't think of droids that they could because I couldn't put them against each other because like they're two good friends, so I couldn't do that.
I'm sure there are
Um,
times when R2 would have liked to have had to do that, but you know. So on the droid one though, somebody did say this, and this is a really good one. So K2SO. So have you seen Rogue One?
yeah,
So K2SO from there, the black kind of
yeah,
reprogrammed Imperial droid, who is my favorite droid in all of Star Wars.
yeah,
Him versus any IG unit, so IG-88, IG-11, whilst they're in full like assassin mode. That would be pretty cool. But I think that
yeah.
would be a good droid fight. So
That would be.
yeah,
I'm
it would.
thinking of like when you say droid fight, I'm thinking of the scene where the droid is like they're having like an actual droid fight and they're making the droids fight and there's the one droid and she's like it's Lando's droid and she's like, "No, stop this. You don't have to fight." That's what I'm thinking of in my head.
What's that
What's
from?
that in? I can't remember the movie. I can't remember which one it is.
Empire
It's
Strikes
Han
Back.
Solo. That movie.
Oh, sorry, in sort of, yes, yeah, with his droid. I always forget her name. I'm sure
Yes.
somebody will remind me. But yeah,
That's what I'm thinking of. I
she's a
can't.
great droid. Yes.
Yeah, she was amazing. She'd be a good droid to get in a wrestling ring.
She would. She would indeed. Um, but yeah, is there any others there? There's loads with that. But yeah, I would definitely take that. I don't know if there are yeah, C3PO would definitely be useless. And hey Zane, hey Blocks Use, but I'm just drinking water, mate. Get over the COVID. Can't risk anything else. What are you drinking? Is that gin?
Yeah.
Gordon's, indeed. I was planning on having like so. This wasn't cultural appropriation. I genuinely do drink Guinness quite often, so I was going to have a Guinness, but I thought like can't, or I'll end up falling asleep like in the chair. So so yeah, it's
Actually, we tried Guinness in America. Oh, it's
doesn't
absolutely
one thing.
disgusting.
The one thing they say about Guinness doesn't travel well because
No.
isn't every draft Guinness brewed in Ireland
Yes, it
around
is.
the world? Yeah, so
It
it
is.
definitely doesn't travel well.
No,
We went
it's
to I went to an Irish, so I went to Ibiza on a stag do. I was like best man on a stag do in October,
yeah,
and Ibiza was like dead. It was like if you've ever been to Ibiza, it's like honestly, it was so quiet. And considering like COVID restrictions just lifted, and like we
yeah,
thought the place would have been flooded. So
yeah,
we were on like the strip in the West End, which is usually bouncing, and it was like there was like 20 people on the strip. It was ridiculous. But we went to an
yeah.
Irish bar, and with it being a stag do, there was like a couple of uncles with us, so they're all wanting like pints of beer. And considering it's an Irish bar, they were like, "Oh, can we get a couple of pints of Guinness?" I'm like, "Oh, not sure we've got any." Like, well, there's a red flag.
Yeah.
And then he came back and he was like, "Right, I've got like 3/4 of a pint of one. You can have it for free." And like one
So
of the uncles took a drink and he was like, "No." No,
No,
I'm not drinking. It must have been sat there for months,
that's
if not
disgusting.
longer. Awful.
No,
It's sacrilegious
it
to
is.
a great beer.
Yeah,
But yeah, I found that. So I like my casual drink, just when you're like steady away, is Heineken because it's just so fresh, it's clean,
yeah,
get it stuck in. It's not my sesh drink, but it's like it's a good just kind of like afternoon drinks. So I was drinking a lot
yes,
of that in America, but the bottled stuff is exactly the same, but the draft stuff over there is brewed over there,
yeah,
and they tweak they make it more like a bit more IPA, like that florally
yeah.
taste.
They love their
Shite.
IPA over there.
Yeah.
Everything is
Zian,
IPA.
why do you like IPA so much in America?
Yeah,
It's
well,
shite.
I don't understand. And they don't have pink gin. Every bar we went into, I asked for pink gin, and they looked at me as if I had 10 heads. Like no pink gin anywhere at all. It's weird. I think like the culture of drinking is just so different.
Oh, 100%. It is
Different. Like
it is
they can
next level
drink
different.
casually. They will casually have a few glasses of wine and go about their day. Whereas we were going over there and to drink like
Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
drink here, like
Like it starts in the airport. Like
yeah,
I think this is where we start.
yeah,
And the goal is not to get kicked off a flight and not to get arrested. And we're good.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
Actually, probably shouldn't be saying too much of this because, as I say, I filled my Esther application in earlier on, and I don't know if you had this, but I had to put all of the links of any social medias in. Now, obviously, I had to do that the last time I went, but the last time I was there, it was just my personal Facebook and my personal Instagram. So,
Okay,
like, I had to link those in, which are private, and it's like whatever. But then, like here, I've got like all of my Opie Wan accounts. So, like,
okay.
who knows if the American Department of whatever are watching, hiya, don't kick me out, please, because like
I'm fine, I promise.
I promise I am, and I do like your beverages. So, but yeah, it's very different culture. But
It
then
is.
you go to somewhere like Vegas, and it's a whole other culture altogether
Yeah.
because there is no concept of time in Vegas. What
Stop.
like so you're coming back from the pool 6, 7 o'clock because like the sun is just up there all day. So you come back from the pool at like 6 o'clock, and there are like girls in full like sequin dresses who are like ready and off. But then
Yeah.
you come down to start your night at like 9, 10 o'clock, and like there are people coming back from like the pool, or they're coming back like they're very casual. But then
Okay.
every morning I would get up and I would go and get like the Starbucks coffees for us, which is like the Starbucks
Yeah.
right at the front of the hotel.
Yeah.
And there'd be people sat there at like the slot machines who've been sat there all night. Then when we went to bed, the girls in the sequin dresses and the hair look like really glam and they're having a good mood. But then when it gets to 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and they're still sat there, they're getting a bit crusty. And
No.
they're clearly chasing their losses, like their makeup's starting to go. They're just like their hair's, just like there's nothing. It's just the time is taking its toll on them. But yeah, it's weird. And then like everybody is on their own time scale
Yeah.
there. And then the biggest surprise for me is that it's Vegas. It's like the party capital of the world
Yeah.
potentially. And then a lot of Americans go there as a family. So there's like a lot of people with like pushing pushchairs around.
I
I'm
did
like,
not
really
think that. That's insane.
weird. But then
That is.
it's so expensive, right? In bars
Yeah.
and in the hotel. But they have
Yeah.
like an open drink culture. So you're allowed to just walk them down the strip drinking. So there's liquor
Yes.
stores up and down the strip.
Yeah.
So you just go in the liquor store and buy, and they do all the aluminium cans. So you just crack it
Yes.
open, which are the best thing ever. You
They
just crack it
are.
open, walk up and
Or
down
the
the strip.
twisty ones. The
Yes,
twisty beers. We need them here.
100%. The only one I know of, well, the Budweiser have them. One, I
Yeah.
don't really like Budweiser, and two, they still hurt your hand. Like you can't get a
Yeah.
clean grip.
No.
But yeah, it's with that. But yeah, Vegas is next level in that regards. But yeah. So anyway, that was me saying I was going to have a Guinness tonight, Zian. So he's probably not even still here. But yeah, never mind. But yeah, so Star Wars wise, covered that side of it. But let's talk about you, because I know again you've shown off. I've seen you wear your Star Wars t-shirt. I know you've got some like Star Wars Grogu merch. But what is your love of Star Wars? What is your affiliation with Star Wars? Kind of where did it start? Kind of where is it? What journey has it gone on?
So when I didn't start watching Star Wars until like I was probably I'd say 16 or 17, I was definitely one of those people who was like, I'm not really into Star Wars. It's not my thing. Like, I loved Harry
Just
Potter. And
quickly, I won't ask how old you are, but do we know in the TikTok world how old you are?
I think people have a very different opinion of how old I
Right.
am. Like, someone said to me they thought I was 35, and I was like, you're well off, well
Even
off.
if you like could be 35, you never say 35.
I know.
Like, no, no,
Yeah.
okay.
And then someone else was
Shocking.
like, "Oh, you're only 19." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're well off." Like, I've just turned 27.
Okay.
So, like, I think a lot of people though kind of fall into the middle. So a lot of people still think I'm 22, 23. But then when people talk to me, depending on what we're talking about, if I have information about things, they'll realize I'm a little bit older or
Yeah.
younger or whatever. But age is actually a big like issue with a lot of men on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
When you have an opinion as a female,
How
it's
dare
not
you
because
have an opinion?
yeah, the audacity. It's
Mm,
because, well, you have that because you weren't around or you
mhm.
weren't really watching it or you didn't understand or I get that kind of thrown in my
Yeah.
face a lot with different things. Um, but yeah, oh, I'm 27.
Well, I would have said, and William agrees with you, I would have said about 24, 25, but it
Well,
was,
you're my new favorite people.
well, so it was more just some of the references you made me think, oh, actually, you're a little bit older than I thought, just when you're talking
Mm,
about like your past encounters.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, definitely not 35. But it's that thing, right? Like, so this is the annoying thing, and this is the annoying thing about the internet. What they're saying, like, if you cut through how they're saying it, isn't invalid. There is a point there. Now it's a
Yes.
crumb of a point,
Yeah.
but how they've presented that is
Yeah.
awful. Because what I would say, and I have this conversation with a lot of people, is I'm not a big fan of the prequels. I'm like, I have probably the prequels and the sequels there or thereabouts, depends on how it's going, because I am older. I grew up with the originals for a long time, and then the prequels, like, they just didn't live up to expectation
Yeah.
because I had that expectation. Whereas anybody who's probably about your age down over grew up, and the prequels were probably what you were first introduced with, especially with things like the Clone Wars. Now, granted, you came into it a little bit later, but
Yes.
a lot of people found their way, especially in, as I say, in your generation, found their way into the Star Wars universe through the prequels and through
Yeah.
Anakin and all of that, and like they
Yes.
like that. So what that means is we have very different perspectives, probably because of how, well, like the generation we grew up in, the age we grew up, and how we were ultimately introduced into Star Wars.
Yeah.
That So I'm kind of saying what they're saying, but what I'm not saying is you're wrong. Like,
Yeah.
it's essentially it's recognizing that we have different perspectives because of the moment we came in, the age you come in kind of gives you a different perspective on things. But yeah, it's like people are just like, no, you're wrong. Like, come on.
Basically, basically, like if it's very hard kind of to be taken in any capacity seriously at all with anything I say because I've been torn to shreds and like I've gotten like death threats and like people will go in on me and it's terrible. It did get to a stage there Christmas time. I was like, I'm just not even gonna bother. Like
Yeah.
why am I bothering? Like this is just so pointless because I'm just getting attacked for no reason.
Mhm.
But it's not like just me. I think it's like across the board with like girls who have interests in what are socially perceived as boy things, you know? Um,
Yeah. And I
I think
think
that's a big problem.
it 100% is, and it's exactly
Yeah.
the same in the Star Wars community. And I think what doesn't help as well, and there are absolutely no apologies to be made for this, but then what happens is for people like yourself who are like a pretty girl, people then think you're doing it for clout. They think
Yes.
you've got like an ulterior motive. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I'm going to kind of tap into the wrestling boys, and
Yeah.
then I'm going to try and push them into my
Oh,
OnlyFans or like something like that. And you're
the
like,
amount,
nah, I'm,
yeah,
I'm just a
it's
Star Wars,
scandalous.
like I'm just like a Star Wars or a wrestling fan. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it is. I think that's the kind of thing that really bothers me.
Mhm.
Like about it. Like it's like, oh, you're not a real fan, or you're not a real, like, just because they have this image of what a wrestling fan should look like
Yeah.
or be or whatever. And it can be frustrating. But I think you just have to block it out. Like I have a fairly thick skin, so a lot of the shit they say doesn't really bother me. Like I don't care.
Well, if it's the good thing is with TikTok, right? You can the one thing I love TikTok for generally, and it's put by TikTok themselves, but they're not great at like supporting creators who are feeling harassed and all that.
Mhm.
They're not great at kind of shutting people down and all that. But with like the reply function and all that, what you can really expose people. So like once you've got a bit of a following, you can really expose people, and then people like jump on them for you. Now, but at the same time, that's dangerous because there is then an argument: does that constitute bullying and stuff like
Yeah.
that? And it's it's a it's a tough one, but
It is. It's a tough game. And you see, my thing is, I do you know the way on TikTok they have that little, like, the camera where you can like video reply
yes,
to comments.
yeah,
I swear I have about 50 drafts of like just me just wanting to rip these people to shreds.
just do it.
But I'm like,
Like,
no, I'm better than you.
oh, it's so the I think the best way to do it though is because if you go in, the problem is you could become emotional yourself in the video, and then you
Yeah,
fired yourself up, and then you hit post, and you're like, "Fuck!" Like I've kind of almost shown they've gotten to me, but
yeah,
there are so many good sounds out there that you can use
you
to
see, that's
stitch
it.
people up.
Yeah, that they're the ones. Like there's one. I don't know if you heard it, but it's like a song, and it's like eeny weeny teeny weeny, and it's
Yeah,
about like someone's like
yeah.
whatever. That sound is saved for a very special occasion.
Have you found the comment yet you want to use that on, or is that like somebody comes in big and hard? That's weird. But you know what I mean? Like if they come in, like if they come in bold, like you're like, nah, you're my guy. You've earned this now.
It's more, I think people are more confident in my DMs. If I could expose my DMs, boy.
Well, you
They
can. Do you know they make great videos? All you
they
do is
do.
just don't expose the name.
Yeah,
And just because then I think when you expose the name, that goes over. But the amount of TikToks that I've seen over the years where it's like things I get in my DMs, it's always brilliant. And they
yeah.
make great reading, they make great clout,
Oh,
and
it's chronic. Like, and it's kind of annoying though, because like I'd say right now on Instagram I have about 50 message requests.
right,
And like I like take some time sometimes to go through them, because there is genuine people that I will have a conversation with about wrestling or
yeah,
about whatever. But to get to you, I have to look at all these uncensored pictures that I don't want to look at, and these messages about what is in your head about me that I don't want to know about. And it, it's bizarre. It's
so
and I can't. I just end up deleting them, and I feel
yeah, no, I
terrible.
totally get it. No, I don't get it in that respect because I don't get those images. I mean, if you want to send us them, like as long as you're 18 and over, like feel free, but they'll be getting deleted swiftly. But I totally see that, and you know the fandoms, whatever they are, again, what we see is them sexualizing girls, and it's
Yeah.
like when. And I've seen it kind of drive some creators to it where they're like, oh well, okay, I'll kind of like it's getting me, you know, this is getting me a bit of attention, so I'll see how far I can push it. But then you see others where, you know, it's what they're trying to do is clearly just give their audience a bit of time and respect, you know,
Mm,
through whatever means. And, you know, people push it. Like there's a cosplayer in the UK called Vader's Wife. She's
yeah.
brilliant, absolutely brilliant what she does. She's so engaging on
Yeah.
Instagram. And she put out earlier, I think it was yesterday or this morning, it was like, I can't believe I'm having to say this, but if anybody kind of sends me any kind of cyber image, like any cyber images, of the wording was very clear what it was.
Yeah.
Like I will have to kind of see it and report that. And you're like,
Yeah.
and it's like, so I look at it and think like, what do they think's going to like? Do they think that you're going to be like, sorry, love,
Yeah.
this is
Get
my
me some
guy.
of that.
This is my guy. I know we share so much, but this is my guy.
Yeah.
I'll never get that.
I don't get it. Like, and it, I just don't understand it. Like, if you want to message me to have like a genuine conversation, I am more than happy to. That's the reason I have TikTok, is to connect with people
Yeah.
that have the same interests. But if you're only out for one thing, like, I am not like, no, just because I'm a girl, like, go away. Like, it
Yeah,
is. It's
and
annoying.
that's exactly it. It's,
Yeah.
people feel that you I don't know. I'd love to have, like, nobody will ever admit to being that guy. Nobody will ever
No.
say, yeah, yeah, that's me. And then obviously you girls, unless you were pushed too far, you wouldn't really want to expose someone. But I'd
No, because
love to
that's
have a
not me
conversation.
either. Like,
Yeah,
because in my head, I'm like, I don't know if this person has a family or kids or a wife or whatever. And like, if you choose to expose that person, you're opening up a whole can of worms. And like, I'm not
yeah.
here for drama. I'm not here for conflict. I just want to watch wrestling and Star Wars.
The problem is with girls though as well. Like if that was lads, like lads would be like, right, you slag. Like I'm done with
Yeah,
you. Whereas girls, like if a guy sent you something and
yeah,
then his girlfriend or wife or whatever saw it, you'd be the one, like the girl would hold you accountable for that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, so it's definitely not
You can't win.
worthwhile.
Yeah, you
Whereas
can't
like,
win. There's just no winning.
no,
But
well,
I
I
do.
suppose this is where you keep yourself out of it as much.
That's it. It's just it's easier not to. And like, but as I said, I feel bad for the people that are like just genuine, because I feel like sometimes you can paint the entire male species with the same brush because of a
Yeah.
few bad eggs. And like, that's never my intention with things. And I think I've made a few like parody videos
I
on
love that you
TikTok.
called us the male species. I
Well,
feel,
yeah, that's what you
I feel
are.
like it's male gender. It's not species. Like we don't have like a different, like well, I suppose some of them do, but we don't like turn into lizards at night and stuff, but yeah, I'll take that point. Fair.
Yeah.
No, it's I get it. I don't get it, but I kind of get it. It's such a sad state of affairs in that
Mm.
respect, but it's like
It's more
because
like, I think with me, as I said, I have a thick skin, but if you have like a message like that to someone who may not be able to handle it in the best way, I think that's the issue. Like, I think as well, like, people need to know how to handle these things. And like, as I said, like, I've gotten some pretty horrendous, kind of almost vicious messages about my opinions, and like, I can just brush it off. But if you send that to the wrong person, like, they might not take things that well. And I think that's what irritates me more, that if you can send this to me, what are you going to send to other people as well?
yeah.
So
And I've had it, but not to the same extent.
mhm,
I feel like when people come at me every now and then, it's about is my opinion. It's
okay,
not about, it doesn't then become personal. Now I can have a conversation with someone, and if they're just like, oh, massive L and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, mid and that. A mid is the most mid insult that anybody could ever see, by the way. Just being like mid, like
mate.
put some effort into it, wouldn't you? Like kids these days are well lazy, just like come on. Like we
Be
used to
creative.
yeah, we used to tear shit up. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just think like when people come at me for my opinions, and you can sometimes kind of like bring them around to a narrative and you can have that
Yeah.
conversation. But
Yeah.
when people are like, oh, fucking like this, die, bitch, like you can't engage in a conversation on
No,
that,
you
and
can't.
it's just
They don't want a conversation. They just
no.
want an argument. That's it.
A great trend for this, by the way, is inspirational quotes, making inspirational quotes from like messages I've received in my DM. I think that was about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, maybe like last Christmas. It was fantastic. But people were
Oh my
using
god.
like Canva to like do all the different color schemes and all that, as if like they were going to put it in like an A4 frame and put it on the wall. And that way you don't have to say who it is. And I think what it does is it show those people will then see it. And by
Yeah.
seeing it, they kind of realize like, yeah, that one was me. And
Yeah.
they see what other people are seeing it, but they hide behind anonymity.
Yeah.
That's essentially it, isn't it?
That's
So
amazing. That trend needs to come back.
you could bring it back, Lana. You could bring it back. Um, But yeah, sorry, we were talking about Star Wars,
We
but
were.
what? So 16,
It,
so like 11 years ago
yes.
ish. You kind of got into it. What was your path into it? Do you remember what kind of movie? Because I suppose that would be. It's not far off the sequels, but the sequels weren't there yet.
No.
So what kind of brought you in? What captured you? What made you
So
stick around?
I had been like, not that I was like completely against Star Wars, but I just wasn't into it like a lot of other people were. Like I was Harry Potter, Twilight, Lord, like that was my kind of what was I
Oh,
was into.
Twilight.
I know.
No, sorry.
But my brother was like is obsessed with Star Wars. So obsessed he called his child Luke. Um, and he was like
Should
one
we have it?
day
Do we need your brother on?
he was very jealous of me actually. And actually, so he has a stepson, and his stepson got as a present you might know this, a droid. No, it's not a droid, a stormtrooper, but it was George Lucas in the stormtrooper, and they
Uh,
only made like
what was it?
not a lot
Was
of.
it like a Lego Funko or
I don't know. I think it was just a figure. I have not seen
right?
it because when my brother's stepson got it, he opened it,
Oh,
and my brother, like, he said he nearly passed out peacefully because he was like, what have you done?" Like, like obviously like he was a child, like he didn't know what
yeah,
he had gotten.
yeah, new
But it
toy,
was
yeah.
it was a stormtrooper, and when he took his helmet off, it was George Lucas. And my brother, he still tells the story and he's still like hurt over it, but yeah.
How old is his
So he
stepson
he was
now?
the one. He what?
How old is his stepson now?
He's my age. He's 26.
Oh, right. Oh dear.
Yeah. But so my brother was like, "You need to just sit down and watch Star Wars. You just need
Mhm.
to do it." It was more like to please him. Um, so I did. We started off with I think we started off with like the first, like, A New Hope. That
Yeah.
was when we started off with, and I was like, "This is so old. Like, why are you making me watch this? Like, this is like, I don't want to watch this." And then we moved on to the next three, and I remember being like, "These aren't that good," because by the third one of the first three, by the is it the Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Um, by that one, I was like invested in it. I was like, "This is amazing. What
Mhm.
is going on?" And then I think it just ended up confusing me way too much to go like backwards, but
Yeah.
we were forwards because of all the way like it at times it obviously progressed, so everything looked way better. But I think the storyline, I was like, I don't really like the storyline. And then obviously the newer ones, I
I feel
had to
like
go see
Star
them.
Wars is a lot to impose on a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah, it
Like
was a lot. It was a lot, and like this is, I remember this was like over a weekend. Our parents are away, and he was like, "This is what we're doing."
we're not having a party.
No,
Like you're gonna sit there and we're
yeah,
gonna watch Star
watch
Wars.
Star Wars, yeah. So
Nice.
that was what we did. But like I ended up kind of, I think I rewatched the first three multiple times after that because I was obsessed with Leia. I just
Yeah.
absolutely loved her. And I loved how like just fierce she was, and how like she was all like, "I'm gonna fight too," and love that. And then obviously the most recent ones came out, and then everything in between. Like there's so much like in between as well.
Yeah.
Like you had Rogue One, Solo, like all that. Like it's amazing, and it's just so big. It's huge, and there's so much that like I still. This is
There's a
why I
soundbite,
never get
guys.
on. What?
There's a soundbite.
A sound? What?
A soundbite.
What's a sound bite?
Like when you crop a video and just like we can talk about you getting unsolicited pictures and then just cut it to you saying it's so big, it's huge. Like we can just like
I'll see you later. Okay, bye.
we of course won't do that. But
Oh,
yeah,
sorry. See, I'm not techie at all, so I don't understand any of these terms or anything like that. So I do apologize.
there's no apology needed. Um yes, yeah. Sorry to take you off your stride there, but how up to date are you then? I'm guessing you watched The Mandalorian because you have the Grogu stuff. Did you
Yes.
watch Book of Boba Fett?
Yes. So it took me a little, like a couple of episodes. It actually took me up until Mando and Grogu came back into the Book of Boba Fett before I was really enjoying it. Like
Yeah.
I was watching it because I'll watch anything Star Wars puts out at this point. But up until Mando and Grogu came back in, I wasn't like overly invested in it. Like I
Yeah.
absolutely loved Mandalorian. I thought it was so good. I just loved it from
Oh,
start to finish.
100%. Like
So good.
I'm so excited to see where it's going. And that's, again, that's fair. And it comes back to our point earlier, because I think for the Boba character, a lot of people wanted that kind of version of Boba who grew up with the
Yes.
originals.
Yeah.
But then also felt let down by the Boba that we got because of the Mandalorian ruined it and all that, which
Yeah.
is just like, come on. But yeah, that's it. That is all about perspective and kind of when you're introduced to it and kind of
Yep.
what is, we all, Star Wars is kind of this never-ending spectrum, but we're all stood on the side looking in from different views, and everybody
Yes.
just has that kind of slightly different perspective. What's your favorite film? What's your favorite character? What you feel like? What's your thought on this character, that character? So, and there's no wrong or right answer on that whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, no. The good thing is, I think everybody. I've not heard one person say like, "Oh, the Mandalorian is mid." Like,
Yeah,
I've never heard
no.
anybody
But
say
you
that.
can't say that. I think that's such an invalid argument. It was phenomenal. It was so good. And
Yeah.
like as I said, I think that was when I got really into Boba Fett, was when Mando and Grogu came back in. And there was one episode, I think I actually spoke to you about it. I was like, what, like my head was just like blown away because they were trying to make Grogu decide if he wanted to be like a
Oh yeah.
Jedi
Yeah.
or
A
have the little
Mandalorian. Yeah.
shirt thing. And I swear, I gave out for a full week about that. I was like, why are they making him choose? Could you not just do both? Like I was so angry because it was so good. Like they played it off so well. And I thought like the hologram of Luke Skywalker was good too. Like I thought they did that really well. Like that was
And
amazing.
they definitely improved it a lot from like the one from the end of season 2 of Mando.
Yes.
I didn't realize. Like I remember thinking at the time that's a really good. And then
Mhm.
they did this one, and I'm like, well, that's really good. Like
Yeah.
how they've done it. I did raise a point though, and it's a general thing of like, do we have to get over that the people who played our like Star Wars characters are getting older
Yeah.
and they can't play them? Do we just have to pull the plug and somebody else? Because I don't think it's then fair to the actor who actually plays him, and because
Yeah.
like he's a good actor, so
Yeah. Like
it's a tough one.
that's it. Like at what point do they get like too old to do it? Like do we just I think we don't need to kill any characters off. Let's not kill anyone. Let's just have them retire nicely and like have them put away but they're there, but we're just never gonna see them again. Like this
Okay.
whole thing of like you have to kill a character off. No, you don't. Let's just think they're in a nice little retirement village. Like they're fun.
So
You know?
I kind of think there is glory in a great on-screen death, but I do
No.
agree. I think there is like it's the ultimate, because especially of like the dark side characters. So that brings us to this. Have you ever watched any of the animated series, so Clone Wars and Rebels?
I think no. I watched them in like parts, and like
Okay.
they've been on TV because himself will watch them, but I'm not. I'm not invested in them
Okay.
enough. I have been meaning to go back and like actually watch them, but I haven't really watched them.
So I would say don't bother with Clone Wars because it's just
Okay.
too much of a drag. You can come
Fair.
back to that at any time. But if you're really enjoying The Mandalorian and you're like an Ahsoka, because I'm guessing you at least have an idea of Ahsoka is, because there's so much talked about. But
Yes.
Ahsoka is like her origins are in the Clone Wars, but there is
Yeah.
a lot to watch to get through it. Rebels, she's not in it as much, but her version, so it's set right before New Hope. So her
Okay.
version of that version of Ahsoka is a lot closer to what we're seeing in The Mandalorian. And a
Okay.
lot of those characters are going to be in the Ahsoka series. So, even if you just go a couple of episodes at a time,
Yeah.
and they're only like 20-minute episodes each. So I
Yeah,
would
see, I
definitely
love that.
recommend trying like a bit of effort to go through. But yeah, Rebels is so good. And for a long time, it felt very disconnected. It didn't get a lot of love, particularly when it was released. But now they're almost like building more off that than the Clone Wars, because those
Okay.
characters, where the Clone Wars, pretty much all of the characters were characters we knew their fate. Whereas in
Yeah.
the Rebels, they were all brand new characters. So we're like, oh, well, where were these guys in the rebellion and all? And it's really
Yeah.
tells that story. So, and it gets away from that like small universe or small galaxy syndrome, which
Yeah.
like Star Wars tends to have, that everybody knows each other and it's a galaxy. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would definitely recommend trying to get through that, but it'll give you great perspective on some characters. And yeah, like Ahsoka particularly, but I think it's been tipped, the Ahsoka series, as being like the next series of Rebels, but in live
Fan.
action. So
I love it.
so yeah. What about what about Marvel stuff and like DC stuff? Do you follow all that or no? Yeah.
I'm the biggest nerd ever. Like I am. It's actually
Welcome to
scandalous.
the party, pal.
Oh Jesus! Like I have over there, we have. I can't really see him. There's like
Can see some
Batman.
Funkos, yeah.
Yeah, there's Batman. There's Joker. There's Deadpool. There's Spider-Man. That's only a little bit. Like we have a whole other room that's like our games room slash like collection room. But yeah, no, obsessed with Marvel, obsessed with DC. I don't think Marvel will put out a movie and I probably won't like it. I'm so
Yeah.
biased. It's actually scandalous. Like
No, I
it's terrible.
totally agree. Same with the TV shows as well. I think
Yeah.
it's
Oh
because of
yeah.
how it's just because of how connected they are to the broader
Yeah.
story. Like it's not like that movie is very rarely like standalone. Yes, it
Yes.
has like an arc that will go through, but it's built off this one and it connects to that one and this and all that. So
I love
it's
it.
clever what they've done. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love
I
anything like
absolutely love it. I didn't think Hawkeye was amazing, but I still watched it every
that.
single episode. And even though each episode I was like, I don't like this, but I still watched it.
But I think it's one of them as well. Where
Yeah,
so yeah, it was a lesser series for me personally, but I was like a
yeah.
7 out of 10. Enjoyed
I
it,
think
and there were like moments, like little bites that were like, oh, I enjoyed
yes,
that, but then how it connects
yeah,
is then really important. But that's how they get you.
exactly. I think for me with Hawkeye, because it was based at Christmas time, we didn't really get it at Christmas time.
No, we
So
did, didn't it?
I don't think I watched it at Christmas time. I don't did
I
I
think
not?
well, it finished like something like the 8th. Was it the 8th of December? Because Book of Boba Fett started on the
Yeah. So that was
15th.
it. I was watching Boba Fett when
Right.
I probably should have been watching Hawkeye. Like it for me, it just didn't connect really well.
Yeah.
But no, I love Marvel. Like I do.
Have
I
you seen
still
the
haven't
Batman yet?
seen. No, I haven't. I have not seen it because right. Christian Bale will forever be my favorite Batman, and Robert Pattinson will forever be
Edward
Edward
Cullen.
Cullen.
See, I even know the names.
So I have a really hard time accepting Robert Pattinson as the new Batman. But I still have to go see it, so I can't.
No, I
I
think you
have
do.
not seen it yet.
So I don't want to say too much, but
Yeah,
I had exactly the same thing. Like Christian Bale is awesome. Now, what I don't know yet, because what we've got with the Batman, with the Dark Knight, is we got 3 films. So we got to
exactly.
establish that a lot more. We'll get that with the Batman. We also have the the benefit of having watched it multiple times. So we've kind of really kind of filled in gaps.
Yes.
But the jury's still out for me. But he is massively he massively blew my expectations away, because
Yeah.
for me he was always Cedric Diggory and I knew him as Edward Cullen.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a couple of the Twilights. I've never kind of engaged in the series, but
Yeah.
I know him as that kind of like emo-ish kind of like kid. And to
Yeah.
be fair, he is somewhat a character, but yeah, it's you have to watch it. You have
I
to watch it.
know.
But where we stand right now, I don't know who is my favorite Batman, but um Christian is still my favorite Bruce Wayne.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's interesting.
Lana,
Yeah.
give me 2 seconds. My dog
Yeah.
is like crying at the door. So
Oh
talk to the
no.
room. Talk to the room. And tell us. Talk about the Batman, the Dark Knight. Why do you love Christian Bale?
Why don't I love? Who doesn't love Christian Bale? Everyone loves Christian Bale. Like, yeah, Christian Bale is the best Batman, in my opinion. His poor dog. I hope his dog is okay. Is your dog okay?
Sorry, say that again.
Is your dog okay?
He's all right. He's in the garden. It's annoying,
Oh,
right? Because when we go out, he can hold it in forever, but when he knows we're in the house, he's like, "Mm," and he's like just being
what kind
down
of dog do
here.
you have?
I'll get him in a second. I'll show you. But he's a border collie. But he's a
Oh,
collie cross, so we think he's crossed because he's a rescue, and we think he's crossed with a German like a black German Shepherd. So
adorable.
he is. He knows that that's the problem, and that's
Yeah,
his. So he's called Opie, and that's my
yeah,
name comes from him.
that's so cute. That's
Yeah, he's all
adorable.
right. But yeah, usually like my wife would be here, but she's like left me whilst I'm on like my sick bed and I've got corona and all that.
Oh,
So, never mind. But starting to wrap up now, but thinking about kind of like what, like looking forward, like what are you really looking forward to this year?
oh my God. You know what? I think at times there's just so much. Like for me, as you can probably tell, I'm into so many different types of things. And like another big thing I'm into is concerts and music, and there's that whole side of things, like, and the fact that live events are starting to come back now for us. We have so much live events and stuff coming up. We have so
Yeah.
many gigs, concerts,
I went to
festivals.
see Stereophonics on Thursday night, and that's how I've probably got this.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. Was it amazing?
Fantastic. As all, I've seen them like 3 times now, and they are brilliant every time.
Yeah, that is amazing. Oh, if there's, do you think they're gonna announce a pay per view for Cardiff?
Well, it's rumored, isn't it? Because they were talking about like SummerSlam and stuff. I
Yeah,
don't know. It'd be great to do it, and I think like the community is there for it. So I hope so.
I hope
But
so.
who knows? The problem is with like WWE and Vince, particularly, he might be like, right, we're going to announce it tomorrow morning. And then it's like, yeah, we'll announce it tomorrow morning. Then he gets up in the morning, he's like, nah, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah,
Until it's the dotted line is signed.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
It's hard
It's not gonna happen.
because we were looking at, like, I have a 7-year-old nephew and he's really into like wrestling as well. And they announced like a live show tour for Europe and they're
Yeah.
not doing Dublin. Like,
What?
no, and we really wanted to bring him because he would have loved it, like, but they're not doing a show in Dublin. They're doing one. They're doing loads in England, like, but he's too young for us to bring him, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so annoying. But if they do announce the Cardiff date, I will swim from here to Cardiff. I swear to God, like
Nah, it'd be totally
that'll
worth
be
it.
unreal.
I'd
But
see
yeah,
you
I
there.
think for me this year it's just more all the events that we get to go back to and all the
Yeah.
movies, getting to go see all them and like just getting back to like a somewhat normal life.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
100%. So guys below in the comments below in the description below, we Lana's TikTok is in there, and I think your TikTok links to your Instagram. If you go to her Instagram,
It
don't
does.
don't send sus messages for sure. But yeah, definitely worth a follow, and make sure you engage with her and ask her some Star Wars comments as well.
Yeah.
Anything particularly planned from a social media perspective, or are you just kind of riding the wave and going
Not
with it?
really. No, I'm having fun. That's all. And I'm
Oh,
loving.
carry on. I don't know if you can
Oh,
hear, but that's him in the back garden with next door's
the
dogs. Two
poor
seconds.
baby. Hello, I'm just going to talk to everyone that's in the chat. And you don't have to talk to me, but that's fine. I don't plan much for social media. I'm just there to have fun, and to talk to people that have the same interests as me. That's kind of it. We're a fun little community over on Wrestle Talk. I have to like watch all these. I have to see all these comments. Oh, your family on your father's side. What part of Ireland do you know? Where in Ireland they're from? Sabres instead of kendo sticks. I like that idea. Um, I love his background as well. I enjoy it. I don't know where. That's okay. Well, Ireland is a pretty small place. I love his background. It's quite cool. All the lights changing.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Is he all right?
He's a bit excited now, but we've
Oh,
got like dogs next door,
okay.
and when they are in the garden, he just like runs up and down the fence like with them. But he's
That's
like
so.
he's really anxious about them, so then he like
Oh,
runs to the door to try and get in. But yeah, you want to come up and say hello? There you go.
oh, look at
Who's
him.
that?
He's adorable.
Yeah, he is. The problem is he knows it, and
Yeah,
yeah, he's a good
that's the
lad.
way all dogs are. My dog is like wrapped up in a dressing gown on the bed. Like you can't even see him.
What kind of dog have you got?
I have two dogs. I have a Bichon Frise and a Doberman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. A lot of
I like a
people think
Doberman. Like people, yeah.
sorry?
I was going to say I like a Doberman. You don't come across them that often now.
No, a lot of people have a misconception that they're um like
Attack
really
dogs.
vicious
Yeah,
dogs, but like
yeah,
they're vicious if you train them to be
yeah,
vicious. Like our dog is like she's the cuddliest little thing. Well, she's actually bigger than me. She's huge, but
yeah.
she's so cuddly and so friendly. Like she's the best. Dogs are just
Same
the
with
best.
so yeah, same with Rotties. Like absolutely
Yeah.
love a Rottie.
Yeah.
Like and they're just like, but when I remember being a kid and they were the traditional kind of like scrapyard dogs that people were
Yeah.
like chewing up and all that. And yeah, they were, or people would have them in the back gardens and stuff. But yeah, they've come a long way since that. I don't know if you can hear, but he's like now sprung to life and he's got a toy and he's just running around the house.
Oh my goodness,
So
that's
he's a good
adorable.
lad. He's a
Has
good
he
lad.
ever knocked over one of your big Lego things?
Only figures. So
Okay.
he's never knocked over anything big yet. Hi mate. Um, so yeah, he's never just he knocks the figures over with his tail sometimes, but
Yeah,
he's all right. Ready? Okay,
that's
there you go.
adorable.
But yeah, there you go. So sorry, I disappeared, but
That's
um,
okay.
with your kind of social media, looking forward, just very much riding the wave. Yeah,
Yeah, just having fun. As I said, I'm just so happy to be able to connect with like-minded people. And like for every negative person that's there, there's about 100 more nice people. So
yeah,
it's just been nice to like, and especially as a girl, to realize that you're genuinely not the only person that likes this stuff because I've met so many
hmm
amazing female content wrestling creators, which has been probably one of the best things that I now talk to regularly and like we talk all the time. So that's been really nice. So I'm just having fun. And
good.
I'll do it until I stop having fun. And like I think people kind of get annoyed at me at times because if I don't post about something, like someone asked me about Scott Hall and he
Yeah,
passed away. And like that's tragic, absolutely tragic. And I'm like heartbroken for him and his family, but I didn't make a post about it. And someone
hmm
was like, "Oh, why didn't you make a post about it?" And I'm like, "Because it doesn't really." But then I made it something about Triple H retiring because that to
yeah,
me is devastating.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
I just kind of post what I want to post, and I just have fun. I- I'm not like a knockoff Dave Meltzer, or I'm not like a knockoff Sean Sapp. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it totally. I mean, just you when you do this for you, it's important to do like what you enjoy. I did see
Exactly.
you. I remember you co-living. I think it was at the Elimination Chamber because it was in Saudi, so it was in like a reasonable hour, and you
Yeah.
were with another female creator, and
Yes.
that's really cool. It's a shame, as you say, because of time difference, you can't really do that, and there are some kind of
Yeah.
particularly American creators who do it, and they do it on Twitch and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like you have to make it for you. And I was seeing, I know we were talking briefly before you came on, and we're saying like you were saying exactly this, but I said like TikTok has this like great ability to be like, oh, he's like 10,000, oh, he's a viral video, and you're like, oh, I want to like. It's almost like a dopamine hit, so it's like
Yeah.
keep going, and then you end
Yeah.
up chasing the views, and
Yeah.
then you lose track of like why it is you're
That's it.
here.
Yeah, I think you just have to remember that just to have fun on it and like just be yourself. Like I think people do lose track of that at times, and I think people are, as you said, chasing that viral video or that
Mhm.
like to hitting a certain target or whatever, and that's fine. That's fine. What about you? What's the plans for Opie?
It's a good question, right? Because I've been on TikTok now since October 2020.
Okay.
And then like last summer, I can't remember what I got to, but I was like, right, I'm going to switch my focus. I'm going to work on my Instagram and I'm going to work on my YouTube
Mm-hmm.
and just really like level things up and try and build a brand across all three. Now that
Yeah.
is difficult because the amount of the content doesn't carry, so you
No.
have to kind of like tweak everything, and so the big learning curve with all of that.
Yeah.
But with that, I kind of thought, well, actually, and there's a fellow Lego creator called Matt Mellish who I speak to quite often in the background, and it's like he's great for seeking counsel
Yeah.
on things like that. And he's saying like TikTok, if you want to promote yourself elsewhere, TikTok is the shop window by which you bring people in. Now, granted, it doesn't transfer over in the same numbers, but it's easier. Say if you got like 100,000 here, and then you wanted to take even like 1% of them from here over to here,
It's
that's
easy.
quite easy done,
Yeah.
So, and then you can work on those numbers. So TikTok becomes a great shop window, and then you
Yes.
push it from there. So my thought then was, okay, let's come back to TikTok, let's build the numbers up. And I set myself a goal of like 100,000 by the end of this year,
Yeah.
because
You're nearly there.
well, this is exactly it. I know. What are you doing? He's like actually throwing toys at me. So he does this thing where it's like clumsy pup. So he's like
Oh.
he becomes really clumsy, as if like he doesn't know what he's doing, and then it gets attention. But yeah. So at the beginning of the year, I was on like 50K, and I was like, right, this is going to be my goal this year, because I think if I hadn't switched focus last year, I would have achieved that, and then go from there. So I've been grinding like TikTok this year,
Yeah.
and then really like I've got up to 75, which happened
Yeah.
like yesterday. But
Unreal.
then like it's one of those that like, and I'm the biggest advocate of this, is like followers mean nothing on TikTok because of the way the algorithm works. Like if you've got 75,000 followers, it's not guaranteed you're going to get 75,000 views. It's not even guaranteed you get like 10% of that.
Yeah.
Like, so why chase the followers? But that's what TikTok wants you to do. So I've gone like 3 or 4 videos a day, pretty much every day this year, and I'm burnt out. And not to the point where I've run out of ideas, I've just run out of energy to make
Yeah.
the videos.
Yeah. It's
So
mentally draining at times. Like it
yeah,
can be. And I guess, but you said you like work as well, like an actual.
yes,
I don't
yeah,
mean like an actual job. Like it's
yeah. I
all
know
a
what you mean.
job.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so. Like and I work as well. Like I work Monday to Friday, pretty intense job. So
Mhm.
I couldn't imagine the amount of like effort I'd have to put in on top of my normal job to do like to put my time into something like TikTok, because that I don't think I could ever do that. Like I think I'm too obsessed with my job to want to do that.
I think it's like a scary moment as well. I think unless you get really lucky,
Yeah.
you'll never reach a point on TikTok where TikTok fully supplements, or any social media where it fully supplements your kind of your 9 to 5. So at some point you need to take a leap, whether that's at like 60, 70, 80% of your income. And in doing so, you then use the time that gives you to build everything up.
Yeah.
But the concern for me is like, I'm 36-year-old, I've got a mortgage, like, probably start a family soon, and like
Yeah.
I like my holidays, like I'm far too comfortable. Like this is my
Yeah.
desk. Like
Yeah.
I actually work from here, like my
Oh,
job. So
that's such a cool office.
well, that was kind of the point. So I always worked at home before the pandemic anyway. And then
Okay.
when everybody else was going to be working from home and everything was going to be video, I was like, well, I'm going to have the best video. I'm going to have the best office, like the
Yeah.
best backdrop.
Why not? Like
So yeah. How you
yeah,
doing?
actually, I agree. You're 30. I did not think you were 36 at all. Like,
Bless you.
no, I would have, like, genuinely would have said 29. Not
Oh,
even.
hey,
I
I'll
swear.
take it.
No, I swear. I would not have said 36 at
uh,
all.
so I don't know if you saw this, but yeah, when I posted my COVID test, several people messaged me, be like, congratulations. Like, no, it's a COVID test, not a pregnancy test. So yeah,
Come on
but
now.
but Brad, to be fair, said at first glance that's what he thought it was. Then he
Oh,
realized what it was.
why would you have put up a positive pregnancy test?
Well,
Poor
this is
Felicia.
true. Yeah, this is true. But yeah, it was that was quite funny. So I had to kind of put another message out to see. By the way, that was a COVID test, but
Oh my god,
never
that's so
mind.
funny. That's actually hilarious.
Jade, it's locked away. So this is all like in a case. I can get it out, but it's very fumbly. But if you follow me elsewhere, I've just started a new series actually where I pick up one of my old sets and I just talk about it. So, um, so, um, if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, feel free to comment on it, and I'll do like a 30-second video on the Stormtrooper helmet for you. Because I just done the Batman, which you can't see, but it's up there. So
Deadly.
yes, I'll keep an eye. No, Brad, I didn't pee on the
He
stick
did. No, he told me before we started. He actually did.
before I put it up my nose and then at the back of my throat. Yeah. How lovely. What has this stream become? Never mind. But yeah, guys, absolutely. If you're not already, go check out Lana on TikTok. What I would say, what might help you, Lana, whether it does or not, I don't know. But to your point earlier on about using Instagram and like trying to message people, good use and clever use of your stories will help with that, because then you can do it through you. So using like the Q&A or the question feature, people
Yeah.
asking there, then you do a response and everybody can see the question that's asked, and then you can
Yeah.
kind of give that. And it doesn't replace all of that, but the one-on-one messaging. But those people who just need that kind of instant, your thoughts on this, what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that, it's great to just kind of get that out there.
Yeah.
And it's great for engagement on Instagram as well.
I think that's a lot of the problem. Like I did go through like after Revolution, like I had a lot of messages, people wanting to know how I got on that, but a lot of them got like lost in all the other
Mhm.
shit that I had to try and go through, and then I just end up not like going there. So
Well, what happens is if you respond to somebody's question, they get a notification, so they can go in and just see, they can go
okay.
straight to their response. So and that's why like TikTok have launched stories, but it's not a patch on Instagram stories at the minute.
I don't
So
have that on TikTok.
do you not?
No.
So when you I thought everybody had it, but if you go to post, I now have like template, camera, template, and then live, which were the three that I had, but I
Yeah.
now have quick, and quick is your stories.
No. See?
Oh, they're doing you dirty.
And even my notifications look weird too.
So
They
there are many people have many different versions of TikTok.
Uh,
I
I
don't
I don't
have.
understand. I don't understand the app enough. Like it was only like I don't know who I was talking to, and they were talking about how they were shadow banned, and I was like, "What are you talking about?
It's a myth.
What?" I had no idea what that meant because I'm just not. I'm not like into it as such. Like I suppose he was, but yeah, I had no like so. The story thing, I don't have that.
Okay. When was the last time you updated your app?
Oh, I'm one of those people that'll see that update thing and
That'll be
I
why.
won't look
If
at
you
it.
update your app, you'll get all sorts. It's
Will I
whether
lose
you
all
want to
my
do it or not.
graphs? That
No, not for an update. No,
oh, okay.
no,
Maybe I'll
you
have
only
to do
lose them
that.
if you delete and then repost the app.
Oh, okay. I'll have to do that later.
But yeah, you'll get loads of new features in that regard. But yeah, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Lana. Nice
It
to
sure
meet
has.
you properly and chat. Always good
Yeah.
to, the best thing, right? I feel like although our accents are very different, people always think I'm either Irish or Scottish rather than like
No.
from the northeast of England. But
No.
no, honestly, they do. Like even people from down south. But I always feel a stronger connection with like Northerners. Sorry, from like with Scots and
Yeah.
Irish
Yeah.
than being from the Northern England. Like we have no affiliation with those kind of people from down south. It's a very different
Yeah.
world. Um, so yeah, with that, a lot of people do think that is the case. But the good thing is, like, I don't have to put my telephone voice on with you, so I don't
Your
have to be like,
telephone.
oh, well, yeah. So it's like, oh, yeah. So what do you think about this? Like, I'll be like, nah, mate. Like, what's your crap? Like, I can talk. Like, people probably haven't got a clue what I'm saying, even the English people from down south. But yeah, yeah.
Okay. Someone on TikTok asked me if what part of Texas was I from? I was like, uh, seriously? Seriously.
Yeah, it's yeah,
It can
love
be
it,
wild. But thank you
love
so
it.
much for having me. I really appreciate it. It
A
was lots
pleasure. And I look forward to seeing your content and seeing you live when WWE does it at a reasonable hour, and
yeah,
hopefully we get that
yeah,
Cardiff, because if so, I will see you there.
definitely 1000%. 100%,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, have a good evening. Thank you everyone for sticking with us for this point. We've run over a little bit, but nah, who cares? If you haven't already, drop a like, hit the sub. Go and follow Lana. You can find her in the link below, or you can find the video I made of her minifigure earlier on as a bounty hunter, and she's still in the canteen and now smashing the place up in true Irish fashion. So, and you can blame WWE for that stereotype because they
Yes.
love doing that one. But yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for sticking with us, and I will see you all next week. This is the really awkward part where you have to wave until it lets us go. So keep
See ya.
waving.
Bye.